What do you get when you cross a know-it-all newspaper columnist with an awkward, unsophisticated everyman?
Yeah. Well, I'm just not sure about that right now.
Welcome to Couch and the Rube.
Welcome in to Couch and the Rube. I'm Graham Couch of the Lansing State Journal, here with my co-host, the Rube, Jason Nick.
What's up, buddy?
How you doing?
I've been called worse. I don't know, telling everybody about the name of the show. They're like, the Rube. What does that mean?
You actually came up with this name.
I did.
In defense of all of us.
Yeah.
I asked you, how would you describe yourself? And this is what you came back with, the Rube.
Unsophisticated. I don't know about awkward. I mean, sometimes in a public setting, but
I think unrefined is really
sure
more how I would describe you. And it's country bumpkin, which works. At some point, we will get into the story about your cash accident settlement and driving around in a Jeep with $35,000 in it over the course of days and months, hopefully.
Yeah.
And that sort of fits and tells people what they need to know about you. We hope this is the beginning of a fun journey here on the Spotlight Radio Network.
Oh, that's enough.
That was the open to show number 1 on September 5th, 2018, sort of 1,000 episodes ago. This isn't actually the 1,000 episodes. Somewhere in there, we botched the counting by about 11 to 13 episodes. Yeah. So this is like 987. But we're not going to go back and fix that. We don't fix anything in post.
I want to blame myself, but yeah.
Yeah.
Back in my drinking days, I might have misnumbered a few.
It was about 700 episodes ago where the mistake was made. So we're not gonna figure it out or whatnot. But that was the beginning of this.
You were able
journey.
to listen to that whole episode, or you just caught like
I went back.
I did like 3 minutes, and I was like, it wasn't as bad as I thought, but it's still.
So the origin of Pure Options in our relationship probably began there without even knowing it. Me going when I listened to that whole episode again, and I did because I was like trying to. Back then we didn't even put who our guests were in the notes or anything like that. No. It was like, and so
yeah, it was like a Facebook Live thing, wasn't it?
Well, I don't know why. Yeah, whatever. It was on. I mean, it was a podcast right away, but it was. Right. Yeah, it was on the Spotlight Radio Network, but we didn't put a lot of details, so I had to go listen to figure out who our first guest was and all that stuff. So Pure Options was flowing. So if you are ever thinking about listening to episode 1, 2, 3, or episode 1,000 of this show, we highly recommend Pure Options. Go to pureoptions.com. They are a great partner with us, and by supporting them, you are supporting us.
But if you heard that little clip, though, you'd go, you had no idea of how many shows we've done. You go, hey, this show, it lasted, 50, 100 episodes?
Did 1,000.
These guys had a good run, right?
Did 1,000.
100?
Did 1,000.
Now we're at 1,000 almost? Oh, my God.
Yeah.
We should just claim it as real, so
well,
kind of ruins the whole luster of our 1,000th show if we'd have to keep going but not really. It's 990.
We'll stop saying that, I guess. Well, Show 1,000 is presented by Pure Options, and if you go to pureoptions.com or download their app, they have great new February deals. It is February. We're headed towards spring. Pure Options is here to help you get through the mud, the muck, and the cold of February. Again, pureoptions.com. And our Monday afternoon show presented by our friends at Muskox Quality Flannels. I am comfortable and in a great mood, largely due to this Muskox flannel that I'm wearing. It's the blue one, so my eyes especially pop today. Anytime I'm wearing this particular one, I walk around my wife a lot just because I want her to see how good I can.
How's that marriage doing? You guys good?
It's doing great. It's doing great. And you too can look your very best self and be as comfortable as you possibly can be, or get somebody you care about in your life a Muskox flannel and let them know how much you care by going to gomuskox.com, and the promo code for our Couch and the Rube listeners for $15 off their flannel purchase is FixItInPost.
But now we got that out of the way. Can we talk about, now that we have 1,000 shows now, and we have another clip that we're going to play later. It talks about our Twitter account. I have to talk about our Twitter account. And I think that most people by now, even if you jumped on late, that the Couch and the Rube account's run by Graham. At least I would hope so. But when did you become the whitest person fucking alive? I'm sitting there on Twitter, and I'm scrolling through. And here's Couch and the Rube, Groovy Donuts, with Hex Yeah. a hex yeah with a picture of Groovy Donut, bad Groovy. You know, I'm like, all right. We swear constantly on this show, and now you decide on Twitter, on X, that you hate, you despise. Hex yeah?
Why is hex yeah?
It just annoys. It's the whitest guy thing of all time.
I don't
hex
think
yeah.
so.
Yeah, oh my God, dude. It's almost as bad as bumpity bump. I would rather have you said bumpity bump there, because at least it would have been like a show bit, and people would have been like, Graham, you know.
Well, you know who would
hex
not?
Yeah.
You know who would not have appreciated bumpity bump there? Andrew at Groovy Donuts.
MFers now?
That's true.
Andrew would have hated it. So
I don't know. More than hex, yeah. I mean, good Lord, how do you get people pumped up? I mean, donuts, and it's Sunday, and I like excitement,
hex, yeah.
and it's the weekend. Yeah, Couch and Rubicon. And I see hex, yeah.
I'm not.
You don't have to say fuck yeah or motherfuck yeah. Like I'm not. I get that part, but hex, yeah.
I say a lot of white things in this world.
Jesus,
I
know
hex yeah is not one of them. Hex yeah is.
You complain about the Izzone being
multicultural.
super white. It's just like you're the whitest person alive. Like. Anyway,
that's not
hex. Yeah, our sponsors deserve better than hex. Yeah.
So I think this is going to be a really shitty show, and not that I usually don't, but I'm just going to warn people now because when I put out the call for takes, and we'll get into our takes and yours in a little bit. It was, I mentioned it was the 1,000th show, so there's a lot of congratulations for the 1,000th show. So I had to like take some out or move some to the like.
Oh
it was,
my God, poor you.
How do you not make that sound
so bad that people took time out of their day to say, "Hey guys, thank you."
Left them all in. I'm just saying it might seem a bit repetitive as we get into some of these
Fire Izzo, the Fire Izzo ones you kept in, but
it was interesting going back through the first episode. I wanted to see who our first guest was. Like, did we have somebody to really get this show off on the right foot?
Windsor?
No. Oh. This is great. In the last segment of the last hour of our 2-hour live show on the first day, we had Doug Haller, the Athletics Arizona State football beat writer. That's our illustrious. Because I was thinking,
and I had 3 questions for him. It was a different time period in the show. Now I don't ask anything.
I was thinking if it was some guest that was still a regular or something, we'd have him on, or we were going to talk Arizona State.
Well, you can tell by the open, we didn't really know how long the show was going to last. So we're probably like, hey, what are you doing? We got to actually do this show live, kind of. So anybody have 15 minutes we can waste?
Johnny Oddshark was the next guest the next
Johnny
day.
Oddshark.
The next day. And then on Wednesday, we had 2 guests, Lisa Byington, who was a BTN at the time, and Sean Windsor. Those are our first 4 guests.
There's Windsor. Okay. Yeah, I knew Windsor was some of the first.
He was guest number 4. Yeah. So that was it was funny because
when Windsor said he liked the Pixies, so I used the Pixies song as his intro. He's like, I never said I liked the Pixies. And I was like, oh, this guy. Like, can you just fake it for radio, Sean?
There were elements, though, of the show that first week that still exist. I mentioned covering Western Michigan and working in Freeport, Illinois.
You took notes?
Episode 5 was titled, no, I'd listened back to these things. A lot of pure options. Episode 5 was titled, The Lions Suck. So we started titling these things a little bit. And we mentioned that we were going to start doing, we wanted to be interactive. We were going to start doing Twitter questions. And that sort of began right then and there that first week before Groovy Donuts
Thank God.
was quickly on board to rescue us with a sponsorship.
I know, and people ask like the origination of some of the things, and it's like, to be honest, every single thing on this show has happened organically. The open, the certain things we play, the thanks to Doug Warren. Shout out Doug Warren, who used to produce a Jack Ebling show, who does our like gambling, like this one.
Buenos tardes. It is time for the Detroit Red Wings Gambling Update with Gravanito Couch and Jason Lee.
Like all of a sudden, Doug just came up with this shit and sent it to me. He's like, "You guys want to use this?" So yeah.
Well, the show was built in those
Doug.
days by. We formed a lot of our dialogue out of desperation to get through 2 hours. And back then, and I really learned that 2 hours can take 10 minutes or 10 hours. Because like a good show, I remember leaving here invigorated at noon, being like, wow, that flew by. That was fun.
Yeah.
And there were days where after 2 hours, it felt like you're just in this all-out sweat. You'd been here. You're just like, how did we get through the end of that? You just had nothing left to give the day.
And the worst part, I mean, it's you and I. That's how this whole show's been for pretty much the whole time, in case one of us travels or something like that. And every once in a while, you would dip out early because you had an Izzo presser or something on Michigan State campus to get to. So every once in a while, I'd be like, can you do the last 9 minutes? And I was like, Yeah, I guess. But, dude, 9 minutes. I know it sounds crazy. It's why I know I goof on a lot of people, in the media, but I do respect if you can pull it off, especially by yourself. I don't know how anyone does it. But then you were like, I remember 9 minutes, my stomach started gurgling. I was like, I was just profusely sweating. And Jeff Heward sitting over there just staring. He's like, are you okay? I'm like, I don't know. So this is like 9 minutes of just by myself. So, dude, it's tough to get.
Those are the episodes we ought to pull up. We ought to pull up
but
the
I don't
episodes
know.
of you doing solo.
Yeah, but
Rube.
how do you find it? You have to go back and listen. We didn't really tag anything. It's really tough.
But I can figure it out based on, as you said, like press conference days. I can figure it out based on days I would have had, at least days I would have been on the road. I can, days Izzo would have had a press conference at noon, and we were going.
We can't even run
noon.
a contest where we can give someone a gift card, probably, let alone going back and doing all this shit.
Fair enough.
You got AI or something going on? I mean, yeah, I would love to hear myself. I can barely listen to myself when it's a decent part of our show, let alone me sweating and almost shitting my pants. But yeah, I'd love to go back and listen to that.
I will tell you, if you ever have to, if you're like me and you don't really like hearing yourself, which is amazing because I like to talk a lot. So, but when I go back, I'm telling you, the edibles were flowing to get through the first week of shows because it is. I felt all of Fred Human. I am awful at this. I really am, and my voice is annoying,
a lot better,
and
man.
I tell bad stories, and I don't get to the point, and I just don't. I don't know why anybody listens, and yet we've got listeners. We're going to get to some of these in our takes who have been with us since the beginning. A lot of them very early since the pandemic. So anyway, we appreciate all of you.
Yeah,
and we're gonna dig in our takes and yours, and thanks for.
I think you're a little too hard on yourself, but yeah, man, we both are unpolished, and I think that's what people enjoy about the show so much. We get on here and hem and haw and mispronounce shit. And we hex ourselves.
We're probably like a little more polished than we have to give them. All right, do you want me to go first?
Absolutely.
On the takes?
Who cares about takes? It's 1,000th show, right?
Yeah. Well, we can only take that bit so
game
far. Yeah.
It's USC. It's Super Bowl. Who gives a shit? Anyway, we can get to the people's take. Myles Garrett. What are we going to trade for him?
All right. Well, let's. I'll start with MSU.
Talk everybody off the ledge.
I'll start it with MSU basketball.
Cockburn.
Tuesday night against UCLA for Michigan State is a really telling night and an important night.
Must win.
It's not a must win.
No?
It's a road game against not a great team. It's a road team against a road game against a good team. So you can lose that game. I predicted them to lose by a couple. I think it's going to go right down to the wire. I think it's a telling night, not that they win it as much, but I think their response is important, how they look against UCLA. They could lose this game and still win the Big Ten. Because if you look at the Big Ten standings, they're 9-1. There are only two other teams that don't have 4 losses, and that's Purdue and Michigan. I happen to think, just having watched Michigan enough now, Michigan's a pretty good team, but I like the matchup for Michigan State in that matchup. And they're going to play both places. I think Michigan State's going to win one of those games. They only play Purdue once. It's at home. And so that's obviously an enormous game. I think 4 losses at least get you a share in the Big Ten. At least get you a share. And so they could lose this game at UCLA and still get a share and do all of that. And I think, is a consuming public and fans and everything. One of the problems with football bleeding into basketball season is that we're trained in football like every game is the end-all, be-all, right? We're not really built for basketball. In basketball, a team that goes 16-4.
Are you setting us up for a letdown?
No.
Tomorrow night?
No. I'm just saying.
I think that's what you're doing.
Not at all. A team that goes 16-4, like you're going to have 4 losses. Not everything is walk off the ledge sort of thing. However, you do have to learn from games, and you do have to react to what you're seeing. And what you're seeing can be real, and there can be real concerns, and you can't just chalk up things as mulligans forever. You can have a mulligan here and there. But there are a couple things in the loss to USC that I think are important to watch. Number one, the starting lineup concerns people are starting to have. I wouldn't mess with the lineup Tuesday night. But I would be on alert if it's another slow start. Because 22-7 doesn't work on the road. Against Rutgers, falling down 10-3 doesn't help. I know they came back and won the game. They've had a couple other of those moments. They've also, this lineup they went to, starting with the North Carolina game in Maui, where they came out like a bat out of hell against North Carolina, that was part of the reason that lineup really worked that day. The lineup at Northwestern, for example, they were great in the first half. Now, that game didn't become a blowout until, they had made substitutions and all that. But the early part of the game, they were really good as a starting lineup. This lineup has been good out of the gate at times But this is a team that is like it has to be a balls to the wall type effort all the time. That's who they are. That's the big part of their identity. It's they don't have that guy who just makes up for it, who can bail you out, and when they get you at you with their relentlessness, with their pushing the ball, with their depth, with the different types of players they have, and you're hitting a different matchup all the time, the other team wearing down, the coaching staff figuring out the best matchups. That's how they win. And when you start out down 22-7, you make all of that more difficult to do. The other team's comfortable. They realize they're up for this. You're on the road, and I understand that there were a lot of MSU fans there, but you're still on the road. And USC is a capable team with sizable wings, which is trouble for MSU in that sense, or can be at times. MSU is better than USC. They would win that game at Breslin. I think they'd win that game 6 to 7 out of 10 times on the road. But they didn't win this particular game, and part of it was because outside of Jeremy Fears Jr., who I thought played pretty well, although struggled defensively early with Claude, the big point guard from USC. But you cannot have that start. You cannot continue to have starts like that. And if you do, you have to react to it. And there's nothing wrong with reacting to it. It's probably putting Cohen Carr in the starting lineup. That would be my move if you make any move. I don't think you make that move yet, but I think this is a big game. The other thing you need to watch is their shooting. Because we were asked just on this show on Friday whether they had the shooting to win a title or to win a Big Ten title, national title. We've been asked that a little bit. And my answer continues to be I don't know. And I still don't know because they've gotten around it for the most part. And they've had some good.
Bottom line is I could see that game going one way or the other.
But outside of the Northwestern game, since January, because I talked about their uptick in three-point shooting once the Big Ten play started, a lot of that has to do with how they shot against Minnesota and Nebraska in December. Since January, outside of the Northwestern game, and where they only took 8 threes and made 4 of them, they have not shot better than 33% from beyond the arc in any single Big Ten game. Like, that is not – eventually that is going to hurt you, and eventually that's going to limit your ceiling. And so you have to what's interesting is I think when you look at a guy like Jace Richardson and you look at Trey Holloman, and those are the guys who are shooting at an okay clip right now especially, they have the shooters that you'd think on the team to be shooting better than this, and they just aren't. Some of that is Jaden Akins, who they need him to figure it out, and he needs to be shooting at a better percentage, and I don't know what the answer is and how they get to that point. Some of it is that they haven't, like Jackson Kohler hit 2 the other day. He hasn't gotten to the point where that's at all consistent. Xavier Booker's been inconsistent. There's a lot of inconsistency there, and they need that to happen this February to some degree at a higher clip than 33%, which is pretty standard. They're 5 for 15 against USC. They need to be better more often, and that's otherwise you're not going to win 6 straight games or get even 4 to get to a Final Four, and you may not win a Big Ten title. So there are things to watch that the USC game showed. But I'm not. But again, I think tonight is telling, and it's the response. It's how they look coming out of it. I think they'll be dialed in, and I think it'll be an incredible game. I think UCLA is tough, but I think Michigan State will take it down to the wire.
But do you think we have time to let Jaden Akins figure it out? I just think with these slow starts and the shooting woes, it's like how often can we keep looking at the Jaden Akins box score? I think we need Tom Izzo to figure this out. I don't know if that means Jace Richardson, starting a game, because look at him, his minutes, 20 minutes, 2 for 6, 1 for 2. He's not really shooting that much. So I mean, would he succeed better? Would he play better if he started the game? Would Jaden Akins play better if he came off the bench? I guess these things are something you got to figure out. It's just the USC game. I don't mind a loss. It's the way you lose the game. It's down in the crunch time when you're down 6 points and there's a shot clock violation. Like, why are you passing for the best shot imaginable when you're down that many points with under a minute to go? That just seems like that's coaching to me. Like I said, I don't mind if you're in Big Ten conference play if you lose a game like that, but there's no way you should have lost to that USC team if you're going to try to get people and talk people into a Final Four thing. That's why I think against UCLA, you got to show me something. Beat them. I don't want to see another loss.
So it's been a while since they've been in contention, right? So it's been, if you go back to 2019, 2020, those years, both those years, I wrote columns later than this in February, where Michigan State figured things out with Cassius Winston, where they were struggling, where there were questions about how good this team was going to be, and they wound up being, Big Ten champs and and making there was no NCAA tournament in 2020, but making the run in 2019 to the Final Four. So there is time, and Akins is the guy that I think if you wanted to put Cohen Carr in the starting lineup, and you said, we're going to put Jackson Kohler coming off the bench because he's had some rough starts, I think too, Kohler, and he's a junior, and as long as he rebounds like he is, I don't think his role would diminish. But
that's where Izzo comes in, right?
You could maybe
the mentality of taking a guy like Kohler. Would that hurt him mentally?
Well, that's what you have to do. You have to balance this stuff. What is best for the team overall? Is what you need now a different starting lineup versus the risk of upsetting, what could be a delicate balance on this stuff? Like Jaden Akins, if you don't start him, a guy who's lost some confidence already, do you sort of lose him confidence-wise? Does a guy who's waited this year for this to be his team,
but do you get confidence shooting 5 for 12 from the field?
No,
every
but
time
you don't get a bench. But at a certain time, you're right. You have to do what's best for the team. The question is starting Jace Richardson over him best for the team? Is starting Cohen Carr over him best for the team? They've got to figure that stuff out. I don't think they have to do it yet. I think this lineup, they lost one game, and this lineup has done enough together and has had some great starts. And this lineup's first game together against North Carolina was the first time I saw that look about them that they were just different. And they came out and were really, really good in that first half against Carolina, and that set the tone. And again, when they play these three guards, they are small in certain ways. They are susceptible to certain lineups. If that becomes an issue, you got to switch it out quicker. You can't fall down 22-7. That part is on Izzo. But I don't think anybody else either. Jace Richardson, and I know he had an undisclosed injury, and I don't know what that was leading up to the game, but he didn't play all that well. He had some moments. Everybody had some moments. Even Jaden Akins had some moments. He didn't obviously had that play at the end that wasn't great, and he struggled for a while. The only person I thought that played pretty well for the most of the time they were in there was Jeremy Fears Jr. So it's not even like there were the guys who came in later. This was sort of a collective thud. And again, this is an important game because though you do want to see the response. You can only go for so long with Akins struggling like this and giving him the ball in key moments. Those are things you have to. It's only fair to the team that the people who are playing best take the big shots, right? And so those are things that you're going to have to deal with. I don't think you're there yet. I
don't think the sky is falling. No. It's just really, like I said, those 50, not getting to some of those 50-50 rebounds and the way that you play, like I said, under a minute to go when you're down that much. It's just ball out. Stop trying to find the perfect pass, the perfect guy wide open. You got to get points at that time. That's why it's frustrating. That's why I think against UCLA, a bounce-back game like that where they shoot well, that would be,
I do think if they win.
I don't think the sky's falling.
I do think if they win at UCLA, they will get a share of the Big Ten for sure. And if they don't, it's not saying they won't. I'm just saying there's more, still up in the air. But if they win this, just looking at their schedule and they bounce back from how they played and beat a UCLA team that is hotter than them right now, that's playing really well, that's won 5 in a row.
And February doesn't get any easier after UCLA either. So
it doesn't.
It's almost like a must-win on the road.
Oregon is fading a little bit. That's who's next. You got to win that game at home. Indiana at home. You have to win those two games. You have to win your home games. And, they're important. And then you're at Illinois. There are games you might lose. Purdue at home, is a really big game, obviously, coming up. But, yeah, this one could be, to me, this is one of those games where if I had to bet it, if they win this game, I think they win the Big Ten outright. If they don't win it, depending on how they look, I would say they share it. And that would be based on just, because I think when you lose a game and when there are things that look like they're exposed or when there are some questions about you, a response is important. If the response isn't great, then that's telling as well. And look, they've responded every time this year. There's no reason. There's zero evidence that this team won't respond. But I think that it's an important game.
Don't coach my team.
What's your first take?
Well, I'm sure we'll get to the Lucas stuff here in a second, but before the show, Myles Garrett announced from the Cleveland Browns that he would like to seek a trade. And, normally on this show with Brad Holmes, we always say, let Brad Holmes cook, let him do his thing. Can we say that? Are we too old to say cook?
That's very white, but yes.
Is it white? Hex, yeah. But I just think that if you're Brad Holmes, you have to go after Myles Garrett, right? I mean, the thought of Myles Garrett and Aiden Hutchinson after what happened last year on both ends, I feel like, my friend Jordan was sending me trade ideas. This was just like, not real trades, but an idea of a trade. J-Mo, Terry and Arnold, and next year's first for Myles Garrett. Do you do that? Like, at first glance, I go, I think I can be talked into it. Give me a hype video. Give me like a Myles Garrett, Aiden Hutchinson hype video. And I go, yeah, you know what? All right, let's do it. Because, like you always mention with the contracts, those kind of things are coming up. Is J-Mo, we were talking during the season, is J-Mo a guy that you're going to extend anyway?
Well, what is Garrett making?
Oh, it's going to be a cap hit. For sure. He's 29 years old. He's into a contract. I think it might be $20 million a year cap hit, something. But that's what you're going to have to do to go out and get these guys. If you want to talk about you have a window, I don't think our window's shortening by any means. But I think if you want to sit there and help ourselves and what happened against Washington this year and with those injuries, you have to make a go at these guys. Look at what Philadelphia, like the Eagles do. Right? I mean, you just have to go and make these kind of trades. And I know Brad Holmes is definitely going to inquire, but I just don't know. Should we really worry about draft picks right now? I'm not really that worried about draft picks.
Well, the question is, and we've had this conversation before, where I've said, I think the next 2 years, I'd rather be the Lions than any other team that doesn't have Patrick Mahomes at quarterback.
Right.
Just based on roster, right? Yeah. But beyond that, who knows? But again, if you're Detroit Lions who have never won a Super Bowl, you're just trying to win one. And you deal with everything else after that.
Sure.
And so a 29-year-old elite
how can you
defensive
not
end,
what you've dealt with before any Super Bowl?
Right.
You're willing to go like, but it's good after we win a Super Bowl, it's going to suck for like 8 years. Like, okay. All right, I guess.
Well, maybe it won't.
We'll grind through. Well, right. But I'm saying if that's a possibility out there, it's better than what we have right now and all the history previously.
And I think when you have Jared Goff as your quarterback, and you've made that choice, which has been the right choice all along, it's proved out. But when you've made that choice, you don't have one of the elite 4 or 5, and those are the guys that like, hey, we want to make sure we're competitive their entire careers because, they'll take an average team to be really like look what Josh Allen did this year with Buffalo. Buffalo, I do not believe Buffalo is in the playoffs if Jared Goff is the quarterback of that team, and so that is the difference,
right?
And so at some point, your window is going to hit you anyway unless you figure out a different quarterback because you're a window-type team when you have Goff, and that's fine. So maybe
can Goff elevate his game anymore, or is this like the ceiling for Goff?
I think he is who he is. You just want him to make mistakes.
Okay, so there's no way that he can take anything from the loss against Washington.
Well, if you're saying his ceiling is not making big mistakes in big games, that could raise his ceiling tremendously.
Well,
obviously.
And that was another kind of baked / 97.1 take that was in a comment section of the Myles Garrett thing is what about trading Jared Goff back to the Rams for Matt Stafford? Stafford comes back, wins the Super Bowl with the Lions, and we all just ride off into
Jared Goff.
We all hop into a suey pod and end it.
Some of the money would have to go in exchange to the Rams for Jared Goff's therapist. Because I don't know if that's right to do to another human being. Yeah, I would feel bad. I actually don't know if I'd like that.
Can they keep Kelly Stafford though?
I want Jared Goff to figure this out. I want this to work.
Of course.
It's funny. I have always been somebody who's been a little hesitant to be on the Jared Goff train. But this year, it's almost like when somebody gets battered and everybody's pissing on them instead of chanting their name, all of a sudden, which is, again, the whitest thing you can do, along with Hex Yeah, apparently. And
bumpity bump.
And so-and-so is him, which is even whiter. That's so white, it's almost racist.
Oh, no.
Yeah, sorry. If anybody's him.
Jesus.
I'm sorry. Don't use that.
Make everything racist again.
No,
Graham Couch.
Don't use that. Don't use him.
2028.
Anyway,
for office. But anyway, I hate standing by while these guys are out there. And like I said, he's in the prime of his career. 29 years old. If you don't get him to some lengthy ass contract and come in and he wants to win with the Lions, why wouldn't he? I mean, play with the Browns. It's got to be amazing going to a team like Detroit.
Yeah.
So I don't mind. If we see J-Mo go, it would suck. But I mean,
yeah, and it's funny
and Terry and Arnold. I mean, that would suck. But
my first reaction was no, because I think. But you're right. If you put him and Hutchinson and a D line, like that's, if you can have a D line that wrecks people, look what it does. It's
getting to the quarterback.
Yeah, no, you're right.
On a good defense.
You're right. You probably.
Because then you don't have to really worry. Does Jared Goff have to do stuff like that he's had to do at the end of games?
Yeah.
You have a defense and you get to a quarterback.
Here's a question for you. I don't know that I would do this. Mm-hmm. But the guy that would, no, I wouldn't do that. I'm not even going to say it. I would.
That's impossible. You have to say it.
Okay, this is a really, really, really deep running back draft. It's maybe the best position in the draft, right?
Don't you say Gibbs.
Okay.
Don't do it.
I was going to say, okay, let's just move on.
Well, now you got it. Come on, let me hear it, though. So
well, the
mad
argument,
at you.
again, you're not going to re-sign Gibbs because he's a running back, right? So you got, 2 more years of them, tops, which is in the window, which is fine.
I'm not doing that.
Okay, that's
can't
fair.
do it.
Yeah. And
Cleveland would have to do something more than that.
okay, yeah.
I mean, way crazy.
Yeah, I'm sorry. All right, yeah. My next take.
Anyway, Luka trade.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. I hate the Lakers. I
hate the NBA.
I hate that Magic Johnson's still out in L.A. when he should be in Little L.A., which is Lansing. I hate that I hate everything about L.A. As you can see, I'm not actually in L.A.
I think Luka does the same. He hates L.A. as much as you.
Yeah, I'm actually not.
Apparently he was crying when he got traded.
I stayed back for this trip. If you haven't noticed, I'm in the studio.
Oh, I thought you took the LSJ PJ. That's what the kids call private jet.
Yeah, that's also white.
Yeah.
No, I'm here, but I don't actually hate LA. I hate the Lakers. I hate that this constantly happens for them, to them. Like, teams everywhere are just desperate to grab a generational superstar. And I get that clearly the Mavericks don't view Luka as somebody they can rely upon. And that's the only reason you make a trade like this for Anthony Davis, a trade that everybody, including me, and everybody I've listened to and read, thought that Sham's Twitter had been hacked. Like, I remember when I saw it, I was like, oh, that's a fake one. And then I looked at it, I was like, looked at his followers, and then I waited for somebody else. I was like, holy crap.
Even he had to tweet, like, no, I didn't get hacked. It's me.
It's real.
Yeah.
But the fact that this happens, I mean, you think about the Pistons trying to get the top pick, and they do get Cade, and you think about Sacramento, which gets a little bit close to the Sun, gets a 2 seed, and is now trading away their point guard and stuck in mediocrity forever. They essentially have the Bulls roster from a couple years ago. You think of all these places that are just dreaming of one chance. And the Lakers get it over and over and over and over. People want to play there. Things wind up in their lap. It is unbelievable. And to get a guy who's 25 years old, who's a top 3-4 player in the NBA, one of the guys you can who just changes you and for the next decade, and maybe he's
just fat. He's just out of shape. You can shake that. I mean, come on, look at Ozempic and certain things you can do. Like, why everybody was saying he's fat? Like,
now he's going to be motivated next to LeBron, who's going to show him something. I don't know.
Are we sure that the Lakers are done? Like, I could see LeBron getting moved, right?
But
like,
LeBron's got a no trade clause if he wants to be there.
But I mean, they have to talk to LeBron, obviously. Yeah. I mean, he's pretty much the commissioner of the league, right? To say, hey, LeBron, we're going to trade you, and he had, if they trade him to Golden State or something like that. But why are we? Is he going to want to sit there with Luka? They're going to be even worse than they were with Anthony Davis, right?
Right now they will be, yeah. But Luka,
I'm not saying it's a bad trade for the Lakers. I think it's phenomenal if you can get a guy. I thought Luka there was no way you could ever trade Luka Doncic like that.
And I'm mad because why didn't they ask around? Like, they could have had Cade.
Yeah, but he didn't want to. Luka wasn't going to Detroit.
Maybe,
right?
But
I think you could have got late. You could have got more from the Lakers too.
They could have had. They might have been able to have Giannis. They could have had anybody. This guy is like, this guy is like one of 3 or 4 in the NBA who's of that tier who can carry you in a series. I don't get it.
And it annoys me that people are like, well, like Anthony Davis is a bag of chips. Like, yeah, he doesn't play that much. He gets hurt when he like busts a fingernail. He's out for 3 weeks.
And he's in his 30s.
Right. Like, it's not like a like, oh my God, I can't wait to see Anthony Davis play. I mean, he's got a unibrow. That's fascinating. Other than that, who gives a shit? You're trading Luka Doncic in his prime?
Oh, hold on. I will say this, that they are better today, the Mavericks, for this season than they were before.
Of course. Okay.
Because he was out. And
congratulations. You just traded a once-in-a-generation player.
And they got Max Christie, who's actually become a nice NBA player.
Yeah.
But it's
still not enough.
It's one of those things that the fact that it always happens to the Lakers, it's infuriating. And I like Luka. Like, I like to root for him. I like watching him.
You should.
And
out-of-shape white guy that can fill the bucket, man. That's what you dream of what you are.
There you go. And
right. So what do you? I mean,
but I can't. What I do wonder is, will I now resent the Lakers to the point that I won't be able to root for him? I don't know.
Yes, you will.
Yeah.
It's just gross seeing that 77 Lakers jersey. It's like, oh my God. This is not but that's the NBA.
What's your next take?
No, I don't know. That was it.
Okay.
We can move on.
I got one last one. Jack Flaherty. Back to the Tigers.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Come here, Minnesota.
Oops.
What do we tell you? What do we tell you? Ah!
Come back, Flaherty. What did we tell you?
Oh, is that what that? Okay, I
No,
thought you were
I
trying
have
to
no
play the
idea. I
Tigers
just felt
one.
like playing it.
Yeah. Anyway, no, it was first of all when you tweet out a picture of Tupac in a Red Wings jersey and Isaiah Thomas and Rodman celebrating.
That's some white guy shit. Is that what you mean?
I didn't say that, but it was cool. It was fun to see. It was like you get Detroit. You get now.
You get Detroit. If you post a picture of Tupac in a Red Wings jersey spitting on reporters, you get Detroit.
Tupac spent half his time here, and he spent some time in the prison system in Lansing, like you.
I know.
I
know. I stayed in the Tupac wing of the Ingham County Jail.
Hugh Clark, R.I.P., was his
who?
Was his lawyer.
I know, but you say it like we should know who it is. Hugh Clark?
He was a big time attorney here. Yeah, Judy Brown's husband. Yeah, he was. He was Tupac's lawyer. He went to our church. He went to our church.
Okay,
at Lansing. Yeah, it was.
By God.
Yeah.
Noted.
In fact, I shouldn't. I'll tell this story anyway. When I used to play like NBA Live '97 on Sony PlayStation, and you create your own teams, and I was at St. Paul's Episcopal Church. My buddy and I would create teams based on all the people at the church, and there was like a 6'7" guy in the choir. There was a 6'5" guy, so we'd create them in the NBA. We created Hugh Clark as a 7-footer. So, Tupac's attorney. I don't know why. I had to tell that story. Yeah. That's another story not worth telling. Told anyway, presented by our friends at Midtown Brewing Company in downtown Lansing. If you are looking for an awesome date night or just a beer after work, I am actually likely going to be there with Matt Mancarini this week. I love
that you said Stout. Sony PlayStation. If you would have just said PlayStation, we know what it is.
Yeah. Anyway, Midtown Brewing Company, 402 South Washington Avenue. A great place for any occasion.
Hey, you kids still doing that Sony PlayStation?
Yeah. Anyway, Flaherty.
Jesus.
Look, really good starting five. Jackson Job's your fifth starter. Pretty excited about that for the Tigers. We'll see if they do anything with the bats. That's pretty cool.
I'm so glad you waited till show 1000 to trump the, no pun intended, the oatmeal story.
Yeah.
That one is wow.
That didn't trump the oatmeal story. Oatmeal story is so much worse.
Oh,
it's up there.
That's up there.
Yeah,
you created a player that no one, some fucking Tupac attorney that no one knows who it is.
People know Hugh Clark.
At least people have eaten oatmeal once or twice in their lives. You know?
That's just all right. Are you ready to dig into our listener hot takes?
Of course, it's hot in here. Holy hell! Eric Schultz up first. Never thought MSU would get through this road trip 2-0, but they also can't go 0-2. If they're real, they win on Tuesday. And bonus, I still remember the time I was listening to Ebling's show, and it was announced that this show was coming. I could go on and on about how much fun I've had listening to you guys over the years. Congrats on 1,000-ish shows, guys.
Appreciate you, Eric. You've been a
go on and on.
Yeah. Well, other people
Please.
will. Now we appreciate that.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for doing all of our contests and stuff.
One of the originals. Yep. He's a legend. A legend.
The OG, as the kids say. Original gangster of the show. Are you going to answer one of those?
Oh yeah. To the 0-2, 2-0 thing. Again, I think they can go 0-2.
It's a must win.
They can go 0-2. It's not like, but it's how they respond. And 2-0 or winning one would be.
Don't coach my team.
Winning Tuesday would be big. Would be really big towards. And what's different about this team than say the teams that played in the the mid 2000s or the 2010s, I should say, when they had won a number of Big Ten titles, is a Big Ten title this year would really be meaningful because the program hasn't been at that level. So it's not just the postseason. You want them to be in a position where they're able to compete and put a run together, and you're thinking about them as an NCAA tournament threat. But there will be a tremendous value in raising a banner and winning a Big Ten championship. The first year it's at 18 teams, just after the last 4 seasons. And so the regular season, while it always matters, I think that title matters to this team and the program in Izzo right now. And I think it matters to fans. Fans really want this. And this Tuesday night would go a long way toward it.
Dominic up next. Couch. Peacock is a bucket of zebra piss. Stop the charade. Programming is fine, but this sports shit is awful. Freezing, lags minutes behind, score bug is never right, audio is off. I'm going to FOIA your assets, and if I find out you are a Putin plant with stallions, it's on. Saturday was kind of a fucking bummer, but as soon as I found out you stayed home with Dahlgren 19. Dahlgren 19, I knew we were fucked. And keep Harns away from this team. We were Spartan dogs till the Christian Folk Choir director showed up in L.A. Oh, God. And 3, I got other things to say, but I'm tired of lacking MGs. Just watch yourself, Couch.
We appreciate you, Dominic. By the way, I'm with people on Peacock. So I had not.
Peacock.
Oh yeah, now that he had to stay home and watch a game, now he's on board with us.
Here's my biggest
regular folk.
Biggest beef with Peacock. Number one, you've got a color man who doesn't not. Oh Jesus!
I didn't say it.
A color commentator. See, that's not cool. It's not good. That's who keeps pronouncing it Atkins instead of Akins. Like it's not a hard name. Like if you get Zapala or something wrong, whatever. But anyway. But the biggest issue is
who was doing the game.
I'm not even sure. But the biggest issue
Darren
is
Collison. That's who it was, wasn't it?
The biggest issue is how they don't pan to anything but like it's like watching a live stream just from one angle. They don't do enough cuts to the guy who just hit a shot. They don't do enough. Like it's just not produced at a high enough quality, and that's something that's different with soccer. What's different with their other stuff. And if they're going to be serious about this, they ought to produce it at a higher level. I don't know why they can't do it.
Maybe next. Happy 1,000-ish. Thanks for the inappropriate laughs throughout the years. And two, I don't think MSU's individual high scoring is due to a player going off. I think on any team there's a weak link, and this MSU team exploits opponents' weaknesses like a religion.
Yeah, there is something to that. It's not and it's never going to be a team that relies on one a guy. Because I think Izzo said the other day, and he was right on this, that they don't always know where it's going to come from, but it's always happened, right? And they may have reiterated that on the broadcast as well, which is true. It is a team that I think they're better than I think they're a lot better than they played on Tuesday. I think Tuesday made them look like a team that had depth but not enough talent, and that's not really. I think they do have enough talent, but they've got to show it. And Tuesday night we'll be telling.
Kurt Wisniewski, like Couch in the Rubes, 1,000th show. MSU Hoops was bound to see their win streak break. UCLA Hoops will be body bagged this week.
Well, that would be big if they
better happen. It's a must win. I really think so. Ryan Rockwell, been listening to you guys since 2018 when I was working overnights. Your show got me through a year of that shift, then working through the pandemic and a lot more. I really do appreciate you and hope you keep going for years to come. And from Craig Dodger, no take, but a big congrats. Jesus, that was gross. Congrats on 1,000. I still remember catching your first show while I was in Hawaii, thinking, oh, this could be fun. You guys haven't disappointed. Appreciate both of you.
Appreciate you, Craig and Ryan. That means a
lot.
lot.
Get that Hawaii trip back in there, though, in the conversation, Craig. I like it.
Yeah, no, it's
like Graham on the treadmill.
You just swallow some phlegm or something?
No, there's just so much going on over here.
Okay.
I'm crying, I'm laughing, shitting my pants. Jarrett next. Carson Cooper will lead this MSU team in scoring one of these nights, and thus having that all 10 players who play a lot lead the team in scoring on a given night. First time that's happened in however long it takes for Couch to look it up.
Yeah, I think it would be the idea that 10 different players who have led the team in scoring on a given night, I would venture a guess it's never happened. It would take a while to figure that out, but
right now either
you're
stuttering or I'm not picking it up because it's a what. So
Travis Maynard, 22-7 start was due to the wrong starting five. It was clear from the tarmac that the two big lineup wasn't cutting it. Jax or Zapala at the 5, fine, but not both. When we need scoring late, Jace was on the bench. Felt a lot like the Memphis game. Perimeter length might be our kryptonite.
Yeah, Memphis played really well that game, and USC did at times. They played some teams with perimeter length, though. It had, this isn't the.
But I feel Memphis won that game. I just feel MSU beat themselves against USC. It was just terrible.
I think you're onto something there. I do think that this was the first time that maybe whenever a perimeter player goes off offensively for the other team, and Jaden Akins isn't the one defending him, I think that's a mistake. Like, Akins is a guy who takes a ton of pride in that. I've seen him in practices guarding Fiddler and other people where he's just talking to himself like, I'm not letting this dude score. Like, it's just, and that is something he takes great pride in. I think it's something right now as somebody who's struggling with his offense where he knows he can be of value, and I still think he has tremendous value. This goes back to Marquise Noel against at Kansas State in the 2023 Sweet 16. Like, I still think if Akins has put on him earlier that they win that game. But
won't that help the offense as well if you get some sort of confidence going, knowing that you're helping the team in certain other aspects, the scoring will come.
You're the dude, yeah. You're
right?
the guy in that sense. They need you for this, I'm with you. I don't think it was as well coached a game as they've been. They've been really good at figuring it out,
All right, Todd Truesdell next. MSU doesn't have a go-to player when the game is on the line. It's February. We have enough data. Dribbling around and getting a shot clock violation with the ball in the hands of a senior. Woof. Congrats on 1,000 shows.
I do think at this point that you're either putting the ball in Jace's hands, although even Jace is much better coming off on the move when he catches the ball, right? I think starting the ball with Jeremy Fears and letting him create for somebody, make the decision, and living and dying with that. He is your guy. If you go back and look at the closest this team is to any team, I think they're not as good as the 99 or 2000 MSU teams, but you look at Cleve's sophomore year. And yeah, Cleve's was scoring more than was scoring a lot more than Jeremy Fears is. He was scoring like 16 a game and 7 assists. But his scoring went down as he had more teammates who were capable, and Fears has more teammates who are capable. And Cleves, I think, was a little bit better player still as a sophomore as well. I mean, I think he was Big Ten Player of the Year that year. But that team shared a Big Ten title, was a 4 seed, got to a Sweet 16. I think this team has a little bit higher ceiling than that group, but the ball was in Cleves' hand is the point of the story. It was almost the oatmeal story there all over again, so I was trying to get there. The ball was in Cleves' hands, and I think the ball with this team, because they don't have somebody you can just throw into and get it. Give it to the point guard who's the best at getting downhill and creating, and let him make the decision. And then let other people catch and shoot. And that can be a number of guys. Let the open shooter dictate it, whether that's Trey Holloman, whether that's Richardson, whether that's Akins. But less creating from them and more let it be in the hands of Fears. And I think that's probably the way they have to go.
Steve next. Why not give Kurt Tang minutes for the threat of an actual three-point shooter? Congrats on 1,000. Always entertaining. Great show.
I won't say always entertaining, but Steve, we appreciate the lie. Thank you. Izzo went at one point talking about this possibility if the shooting woes continued, and then at another point he said that the rotation is not likely to change. It gets tough at 11. Somebody's got to come out if 10 comes in. If you're just not able to hit threes at any level, and Kurt Tang were to come in and start hitting threes, I guess I think that he thinks the guys, he thinks Akins and. Like, Teng doesn't give them anything else at the level the other guys who are in there do other than maybe shooting. And if it becomes the debilitating thing that it looked like on, what night was that? Saturday, then maybe you have to consider something like that. I wouldn't rule it out entirely. I still think it's unlikely, though.
Next one from Bibby. Michigan has 3 wins on their schedule, better than MSU at this point. Bonus. Xavier Booker getting 13 minutes of playing time as a sophomore is a recipe for him to transfer in 2 months.
Could happen. I don't know what will happen with Booker at the end of this year. I think put it this way, you don't trust that anybody's definitely going to stay anymore. And of all the people who
look at Luka just got traded, man. You can't trust anything anymore, right?
Yeah. But
Booker can go at any time now.
If you look at the number of guys in the portal, like if I had to grade the Michigan State guys I thought might leave after this year, Booker would be in the top couple. Somebody like Garrick Norman who might decide he wants to find a place where there's a better opportunity to play, somebody like that who's not from the area. And then, Booker's it's not that I think Booker's going to leave. It's not that I have any intel he's going to. But in terms of my surprise meter, if he were to leave, it would be less than some other guys. That's just the way I feel, and I'm just being honest about that.
Who is the one that would shock you
if they left?
Like a Luka type trade, like Fears probably, right?
Fears would shock me.
Fears
would shock me. Fears would shock me. Having said that, I believe.
Would it shock you if they found the Fears shooter?
I believe Fears playing back-to-back years at Michigan State. I have to look at this. Somebody sent me. I don't have it on front of me.
Off.
But the 2 Fears kids, Jeremiah and
David.
Jeremy. Fuck you.
Cockburn.
the amount of times they have played at the same place 2 years in a row, not a lot. And so that's just something to keep in mind. But I would be surprised if Jeremy Fears left. I'd be surprised if Chase Richardson left. If he doesn't, wind up in the NBA. Like, transferring wise, I'd just be really, really surprised. I'd be stunned if Trey Holloman left. If Holloman wasn't going to leave by now, he's not going to leave. There are a lot of guys I'd be surprised I just wouldn't be stunned if Booker left the way I would with some of the other guys. That's not to say he's leaving. I'm just saying that just and to the point of Michigan has 3 wins on their schedule, better than MSU at this point. Hold on, give me some off.
I am the passenger.
Instead of the
Okay. So Michigan's got a big win over UCLA by 19 points on the road, which is a great win. Now, that was at a time where UCLA is a different team than they are now. They lost 4 straight in that stretch. Now they won 5 in a row. But it's a really good win. So the other wins we're looking at are 3 wins, better than anything Michigan State has on their schedule. I got Wisconsin on the road is a really good win. What am I missing here? I guess USC on the road is what Michigan State obviously didn't just do. So, yeah, no, look, Michigan's got good wins. Michigan's a really good team. I do think, and I've watched a fair bit of Michigan at this point, I think Michigan State's a better team than they are. I do. I think they've done an incredible job. A whole new roster, Dusty Mays, it's been great. I do think Michigan State's a better team. And obviously that'll play out. I could be wrong. Michigan State has to play them twice, home and road. So that's the beauty of it. It plays out and
so Couch is saying 2-0 against Michigan this year. Hell yeah!
I didn't say that, but
thanks for the confidence.
If you had an aggregate score, so between the 2 games, I think Michigan State would win the aggregate score. That doesn't mean they'll win the road game, but I think they'll have the better score between the 2 games.
Is that like how you do analytically say it's going to go either way?
That's how you do soccer. Either way. A lot of ties where you play home and road, and the overall score is.
Don't tell us how to gamble on it. Kill the mood. David Jackson, Izzo should not have had Jaden Akins in the lineup at crunch time. I said so to my wife with about 3 minutes to go. So what happened? He missed a wide-open, uncontested 3. MSU got the rebound, gave the ball to Akins, who did what? Stood there and dribbled to get a shot clock violation. So I yelled out, "What the fuck did I tell you?" He has no confidence. We're so screwed. Poor David's wife. Yeah. She gets the wrath of what Izzo should hear.
Both David and Jaden Akins need a Muskox flannel. If you are feeling like David did in that moment, and you need some comfort, you just need a different vibe and something to make you feel good about things. Or if you're Jaden Akins and you're just missing shots in life, and people are doubting you, a Muskox flannel will help you get that confidence back. Every time I lose my confidence, which is pretty much on the hour, I look at myself in the mirror with a Muskox flannel and I repeat, you can do this, man. That is the power.
I love David Jackson. I love you, man.
That is the power of a Muskox flannel. Go to gomuskox.com. Bring some comfort and quality, and I'm telling you, you will not regret it. The quality and comfort and the way you look is worth it. Gomuskox.com, and the promo code is FIXITINPOST, all one word, for Couch and the Rube listeners to get $15 off their Muskox flannel.
Jeff Millay next. Number 1, it was obvious early on, even on Peacock, that Fears couldn't D up USC's Claude as he constantly carried the ball. Akins should have been on him more and sooner. And 2, Baked. Show should be renamed Rube and the Couch, or Rube Carries a Couch. Rube is great. Keep it up, gents.
There's no doubt. You are
Jeff, thanks, man.
You're the secret sauce. There's no doubt.
Oh, please. Rename it. Stupid. Dark Mantonio, MSU was due to have a stinker. No need to overreact. This team will still win the Big Ten. Congrats on 1,000 guys. And from Chris, the sky isn't falling for MSU hoops. Sometimes it just isn't your day. Can't win every game, but got a good chance to bounce back against UCLA and get refocused before the final stretch. And Baked, I'm happy I found this pod and wish I did sooner. Always my favorite listen each week. Kudos to you both. Thanks, Dan.
Yeah.
You were right, Graham. This was a terrible idea.
That's Chris.
Oh, Chris. Yeah, thanks, Chris, too.
But
and
both
Dan.
of them. Yeah. Thank you both. Yeah. You wish you found it sooner? That's what you're saying?
No, you were saying how bad it was that people were going to repeat like all of these great things they're saying to us. I'm like, it doesn't suck having people tell us like
it feels good.
How much you and I mean to them. It's really great.
No,
we can cure some of their boredom with these terrible stories and all this other stuff.
It's amazing. It's amazing because
it means a lot to me.
Yeah. It does. It does. Mean
especially hearing people like, "Oh, I worked overnight shift, and your podcast got me through that." Like that's amazing. I love hearing that stuff. Thomas, it's better for MSU's long-term goals this season that they lost on Saturday instead of pulling out the win. And bonus, having a winter birthday really redeems itself when you can bike to a noon tip college basketball game on a sunny day.
He's obviously visiting. He's in L.A. And,
nice. And he rode a bike.
Yeah. Depending on who the Thomas is, maybe he lives in L.A. That's also possible.
It's kind of creepy, man.
What do you mean creepy?
That you're going through all the Thomases and you're just giving out their information on the show.
Well, I know at least one. I actually know 2 Toms who live in L.A.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, man.
So there's that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I'm happy for you.
Yeah.
Is there anything else with that? Or
no, that's it.
Okay. All right. John, congratulations on 1,000 shows. Have heard all of them, plus or minus 13. And at the next live event, you two deserve an entrance that rivals English darts player Stefan Bunting.
Stephen Bunting.
Bunting.
Yeah. Should we do a big...
Dude, I would love to, but in my mind, I'd be like, there's going to be 3 people. Like when the smoke clears, you know what I mean?
That'd be amazing.
There's like 3 people there.
That is the fear. I mean, you guys have to understand the fear that Jason and I live with like nobody showing up.
Oh my God.
It is like it's like a sweats the night before we do these things. Like,
thankfully with Couch in the Rube, we've had good
great
turnouts for our live shows. But in my radio career, because I started when I was young, I have been a part of some remotes that are borderline like embarrassing, like some more embarrassing almost than some stories I tell on the show of just due to the simple fact that there was like 3 people and you were like giving stuff away and you were doing a fantasy football show and you were live at Reno's. And it was, oh my God, it's one of the worst feelings ever.
The problem is that person is usually paid for this. Like you're somebody who can bring an audience and then there's nobody there and you're I can't
and then you have to ask for the check when you're done. Because we used to do a fantasy football show live at Reno's way back in like 07.
What show was this?
This was the Fantasy Football Blitz that I did with a friend of mine, Sean Broyles. And we ended up selling a couple sponsors for it. It was actually making money, but they could only allow us to do the show at 11 a.m., 11 to noon, right? The bar wasn't even really open, so no one would ever really come in from 11 to noon. So the show was from 11 to noon because we had to get off for the Detroit Lions broadcast that was on AM 730. So people would start coming in at noon, but we would be off the air. So we wouldn't really know. So there would probably, there's like a handful of people that, would show up and they had one drink special. It was like $5 Long Island iced teas that would just put hair on your chest. So no one was really buying so it was literally like 7 people. And then Broyles and I would have to like draw straws of who would go ask for the $500. It was the worst. The fucking worst. And AM 730 they hired us as contractors, so they didn't give us any ad spots. Like we would have to go in and guerrilla market. Like we'd have to go in. We'd go into the studio. They didn't give us a key, so we'd have to ask someone to let us in, and we'd run air. We would live run our spots, like whatever the programming was, like the national ESPN shit. And maybe Mad Dog would interview us. Like we'd go on and do a 5-minute Mad Dog thing. So those were the 2 ways that people could find out where our show was. So anyway.
Oh God!
It makes my stomach hurt because having to ask someone, like, can we get the check for this great show?
That is a story definitely worth telling. Presented by our friends at Midtown Brewing Company in downtown Lansing, where we have had a couple of really successful live shows, and I think if we would likely do one again, and they have reached out.
You promise everyone will come.
You all have to be there.
Yeah.
So they have reached out. I have talked to them a little bit. I haven't actually mentioned this to Jason.
Oh, cool.
But
so when are we doing it?
Well, no date. I would talk to you before a date. They just reached out with some interest in doing another one, and I'm trying to look at dates before I bring them to you that I'm available for. Because one of the the idea of doing one going into March Madness sounds fun. Like that, if we're going to do one timing wise,
they all sound fun. Like I said, as long as we know people are going to have to show up and stuff. So
the question is, would people show up? Like that Michigan plays Michigan State on the last Sunday of the regular season, like March 9th. Would people? If that is a noon game, though, would people show up for like a brunch breakfast show that day, and we did a live show, and they came before the game or wanted to come out. Like, that's the
people
question.
can let us know.
Yeah, so if you think you would.
And then I'll back out like a week before. Couch and I are sitting there.
That might be our best option to do a game, or maybe that Monday. I don't know. These are things I was trying to look at my schedule and
doing a podcast. People live all across different spots, so it's kind of
But people have traveled. I know people have also been here to like see a child who's in college or go to a game and stuff. But there have been some people who've come a long way, and really appreciative fathers and sons, and lots of people that we've really appreciated them coming to these things.
Chris Eastlick. Number 1, I didn't want to listen to this show. My first reading from Graham Couch came in 2011. This jackass said Alex Carter was the best quarterback in the state. Then he followed me to the MSU beat. Good God. I couldn't get away from this guy and his bagel calorie tweets. But then Graham started the live chats on LSJ.com. He gave his readers a chance to tee off and answered just about everything. Mad respect, and I was a reader ever since. Then I needed something to entertain me during the pandemic, and I found this show. Not to get all soft, but you boys entertained me through a really weird time in the world. I used to enjoy just listening, and then Graham insulted my profession, and, now I'm giving the guy softball weather reports. In hindsight, he didn't push me down the stairs, so I'm grateful. Graham and Jason, appreciate you both. Thanks for putting up with all of us. Happy 993. See you in 2 weeks on the real 1000.
And we can celebrate this again in a couple weeks.
Yeah, we're going to do it again. It's great,
absolutely.
Man.
Yeah, we appreciate you, Chris. Yeah, wow, I didn't realize that was your origin story with me as the Alex Carter column. I'm amazed you're with us.
And by the way, I will jump off of that. Graham, as much as we bust Graham's balls, he's one of the best I've ever done a show with, of taking the ball busting and being grateful with. Like a lot of people I've done shows with, they don't ever want to get their balls busted, and that's what we're all about here. So. And that's the nicest thing I'm going to say about Couch. Ryan Schultz next. Jason's reaction to learning about the musical Come From Away and asking, is that the Mel Tucker story, was podcast gold. Never change, fellas. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you, Ryan. Yeah, that was.
Yeah, we don't have enough time for all of that.
Highly recommend Come From Away.
Kevin from Mars. I've listened to the show from the beginning. This is just my 300th burner. Play the clip from when Jason told Alex if he was single, she would be a lot of fun.
Oh, that's why that went wrong.
I don't have that clip. Oh yeah, that's what I heard about.
Is that so? That's the moment?
Yeah. That's what I heard about from Treese.
Yeah,
which is understandable.
Yeah,
and again, I'm just telling you what my defense was. Is I was just trying to put on an interesting show, and it did get out of hand. I apologized to Treese. We ended up getting married, so it's all great. But I just was being honest and trying to have fun,
Yeah, it's I really that is tremendous. That is tremendous.
That might be a one you want to go back and listen. I mean, I forget which one that is, but
we can. I'll work to find it because that's.
I would have to start drinking again to probably listen to that one. Spartan Frank, MSU Hoops have officially lost a home game. That was a 70-30 crowd. We roared in the few moments there was something to cheer for. My biggest concern is Fears on the defensive end. He looked like a high school guy trying to stay with pros. Size, length, and quickness just gave him fits.
So I think Fears is going to be fine defensively. There have been a few matchups where you wonder about the lateral quickness. Is it quite what it was or everything? The kid from USC is really good, and he played really well. And I don't know. I can understand your point here, and that didn't seem to be a great matchup. And Akins, I think, would have been a better matchup earlier. And I know because they're playing undersized, they put Akins then on the wing with a bigger wing. And
so is that Fears saying, no, I got him? Right?
No,
the way you make it sound like it's a very easy thing to do. Like
it's a coaching decision.
Right.
It's a coaching decision.
So is the coaching decision, you don't want to sit there and get it in a guy's head and have him switch off a guy. And
by the way, they do a lot of switching in a lot of matchups anyway. So you wind up, different guys guarding different. It's not like a pickup game where it's like, I got this dude, and that's, the whole game. But, it was not a great performance by them. And the start that Claude got USC off to, you can't let that happen. You just can't. And I don't know if it's a hard foul. It's got to be a matchup change. It's got to be something. There's got to be a little more to it. You can't let somebody just punk you like that out of the gate.
Bill McLeod next. Congrats on 1,000 shows. During the next 1,000, let's make time for all that while coaching Izzo's team. Don't break any chairs, spill on the laptop, and watch out for falling microphones. not so reasonable take. Pound for pound is getting overused quickly.
Yeah, that's me. That's me there. Guilty. I think I used pound for pound in like 4 of the last 6 columns or quick takes I've written. So we'll
heckity heck.
We'll find. Yeah, man.
Oh man, hex yeah.
We will tone it back, Bill. Appreciate you.
Some dude. Number 1, I've created a Couch in the Rube team for the charity Izzo Legacy 5K Walk Run Roll on Sunday, April 27th. The password is set to Rube for anyone that wants to join this prestigious group. I hereby challenge Couch to get off that imaginary treadmill and beat my time, which will be a very slow time. You can even donate your entry fee to the Lansing Promise, which had $0 pledged to it when I signed up. And bonus, it's amazing that I can remember George Blaha calling Piston games from the tender age of 7. That was 46 years ago. He also seemed to look the same back then. He is godlike to me.
Yeah, Blaha to me looks the same today as he did in 1989, which is incredible.
Legend.
Yeah, absolute legend.
A little older. I mean,
still get giddy when I'm around him. I mean, yeah, just God, running into him at the Flapjack Shack and right away having him come up to me in front of a big group and talk. Mind blown. Yeah, my wife saw it on my face. I was just like there are 2 moments where she's realized that I was starstruck. All right. It was George Blaha coming up and wanting to chat with me at the Flapjack in Lansing on a Sunday morning after he had called the game the night before.
Dave the Mad Dog DeMarco.
No, it was Ron Banks when he was coaching at Lansing Sexton. He came over to the house. We needed a headshot photo, and he came over to the house, and I took it. And so he came in and
he came to your house?
Came to my house, not the house we live in now, but the house I lived on the east side. Yeah, before. Yeah. It was ridiculous.
Did you have any thought of locking the door like you do with a cat?
No,
when a cat comes into your guy's house, it's not yours.
I was trying everything I could do not to be like just a giddy schoolgirl.
So what are you up to later? You do anything in the next 2 hours?
We had a good conversation. Yeah, it was great. But yeah, no, that was you talk about legendary status. I only wish I had a muskox flannel.
It's kind of weird. You're in my house. I used to just dream about this. It's actually happening.
Yeah.
It's weird. Can I see your thighs?
Jordan Villarreal, and next, MSU Athletics has the most potential out of any major athletic program right now. Hockey, women's and men's basketball, football, etc. We just need to break through it and sustain it. And bonus, happy 1000th. This was my most listened podcast last year on my Wrapped and will always be one of my favorites, even though I have to listen to Graham's takes. Thanks for making people stare at me on the L because I'm an idiot laughing at my podcast.
Appreciate you, Jordan.
Great to
hear. Yeah, it is. It's
my favorite.
It's humbling to hear that.
Yeah.
In terms of MSU athletics, most potential.
Even though he doesn't want to hear your takes.
Yeah. So do you want this or not? I don't know where to go here. So, most potential at any major athletic program right now with hockey, women's and men's basketball, and football, etc. I mean, it is one of the places where you should be grateful for what you have in a certain degree. Now, football has been frustrating, and that's a hard thing to say when Ohio State, Michigan, and Notre Dame are all like within a few hours in your footprint have been what they are. And football drives and stirs so much of how people feel. But it is true, like to have hockey and women's basketball on the rise and men's basketball back playing like this and just the overall there are very few places that have it as well as MSU does. And there are places that have the resources to do it and do it pretty regularly. But, you should feel blessed.
Shep next. With all the financial changes for college sports, Alan Haller needs to cut everything other than football, men's basketball, and maybe hockey. Make everything else club and devote scarce resources to sports that have a positive return on investment. And I say this as a former MSU lacrosse player, cut in 1996 for Title IX budget reasons. It sucks, but I get it. Lacrosse will never be anything other than a financial drain on the university, so I understand why it had to go.
So the problem is Title IX, unless Title IX is just done away with, which would be awful for a lot of reasons. You can't do something that just have football, men's basketball, and maybe hockey is varsity sports. You have to have the same number of opportunities. So as long as you have football, scholarship-wise, so say you have 105 scholarships, you can have up to, even if it's just 85, what they're doing. Men's basketball with like 13, if that's all it is, 98, and say it was hockey with another 28. I think you're going to get to. So you have 125 total scholarships for men. You've got to have that for women's sports. And so we can talk about the revenue sharing component of it, which I think is something that's worth looking at. Like the idea that giving football a larger piece of the pie than a non-revenue sport in any gender is, that makes sense. Football is the reason there's a talk of revenue sharing. But in terms of educational opportunities, athletic opportunities, that's what Title IX is. Those have to be equal. The scholarships have to be equal. And so that, whatever you do with college sports, if college sports are going to be tied to college, then you're not going to be able to do that. And so if say the NCAA got rid of minimums on number of sports and you said, just doing football, men's basketball, and ice hockey, you'd still need to have 125 women's scholarships.
T-Bone's dad next. The Flaherty signing was incredible value and a savvy move. The Tigers will now absolutely win the Central going away if they get Bregman. For the love of all that is holy, please make this happen and don't be a cheap-ass Christopher.
It's interesting that Bregman hasn't signed yet. It really is telling that he's asking for too much. And I do, the rumblings now are the Tigers are still in there, and I don't know.
But you also don't want to overpay for a guy like, like Bregman. But you might have to.
Again, in a non-salary cap sport, just do it.
Yeah.
Just do this one. Now, if you want people not to care about Bregman, lock up Skubal. Like, do something like that. If you came out of and just said, like, we're spending whatever we need to do this, and we're going to value, we're going to make sure we don't lose any of our guys like that. So the idea of building from within, people don't hate, and signing free agents here and there and making trades here and there, people don't hate that. I think part of the problem for Tigers fans is nobody believes that they're actually going to be able to hold on to their guys when they're free agents. But if you came out and publicly said, part of the way our thing is whatever it costs to keep guys we want to keep, we're going to do. And if you came out and did that and acted like that, people would be a little less worried about the Bregman stuff. The problem right now is nobody trusts that they're not just cheap. And that's the problem.
And with the Skubal thing, is it a smart thing to wait longer? Because, as a casual fan, like I don't know all the ins and outs of all of the, back thing, Scott Harris has to do. Can you sign a guy in arbitration, all this shit. So I don't know. But we just need to be transparent and kind of find out, well, why are we waiting so long to pay a guy like Skubal?
I was listening to Evan Petzel's podcast, Days of Roar, and he was just talking about the idea, and the Free Press writer, and they do a nice job, and he's pretty plugged in. And the idea that you cannot get beyond next offseason. You either have to make the move then or you trade him. You can't go into the last year with him and risk losing him. Now you can do all this year and see what happens, and if you win again, and if you prove to him you're a winner and you're things are good, and but you can't this time next year he's either under a new contract or he's not part of the organization.
I was listening to Pat Caputo's podcast, Bustin' Balls, and he was talking. Zach Fanko.
I've told you the Pat Caputo LSJ columnist story, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's great. Yeah. For people who haven't heard it,
do it again.
Pat Caputo, and I like Pat. But
who doesn't?
Pat Caputo interviewed for the LSJ columnist job when I eventually was hired, and apparently he told the executive editor Mickey Hirton, who's no longer there, but he's the guy who not only hired me but married my wife and I. He was our officiant. He said that he was looking for a place to sort of wind down before retirement and thought this would be a good job.
Fuck yeah.
And like that's
he's honest.
Things absolutely, but things not to say when you're trying to get a job. Like they're like, wait a second, what? You want to do less work, and you think Lansing is the place to just?
So is it a problem
yourself?
if I go home and take a nap from about 2 to 5? Is that fine, right?
That is
back,
That is a story perhaps worth telling.
I like Pat Caputo even more.
Presented by our friends at Midtown Brewing Company here in downtown Lansing.
Zach Fanko next. Unless Jaden Akins gets out of his slump, it is going to be hard to trust this MSU team to make a deep run in March. And bonus take, flag football Pro Bowl is lame. Yeah.
It's not fun. Yeah. The Pro Bowls, I don't understand why more sports, and like be it MLS, be it MLB with pitchers and catchers, whatever it might be, more people need to take advantage of this weekend in between. Football's essentially over. We're all going to reconvene for the Super Bowl. We get it. But use this as a launching point. This first weekend in February should be for do live spring training, pitchers and catchers reporting, do Major League Soccer, everybody's back and play. Just do something.
But what is that going to do?
I don't know. I'm just trying to.
When spring training comes back, I just go, all right, yeah. Then I check some Tigers notes. And do you watch spring training games?
That's fair.
Andrew Gauthier next. Number 1, Rory McIlroy is winning the 2025 Masters. Get your bets in now. 2, in celebration of this milestone episode, you can make a lot of people happy by retiring bumpity bump. And 3, if this is the Spartan Hoops team we think it is, UCLA is in for a tough Tuesday night.
Yeah, MSU's got to bring it. Now, shit can go wrong on the road and you can lose, right? But you've got to they've got to look like they've got an intention about them and a focus and all that. And Rory was fun this weekend.
It was fun.
Yeah.
But I tell you, golf has a long way to go on the entertainment front.
Yeah.
I mean, I love golf, and I find it hard to find where the coverage is at certain times. I know you can just sit there and go to Google, where's the Pebble Beach Pro-Am tournament playing? But, it's just I know that they're trying really hard to make it more like accessible to other people, but I think you just need to make it really good for the people that love it,
Yeah.
And Rory hitting, a 7-iron, 210 yards. Yeah, Augusta's going to be fun.
Let's take a really quick break. When we come back, we will dig into more of your takes. Couch in the Rube, presented by Pure Options, Craft Cannabis, and our Monday afternoon show brought to you by our friends at Muskox Quality Flannels.
Hey, sports fans, are you tired of the same old routine? Looking for a way to unwind after a long day? Look no further than Pure Options, the premier destination for all of your cannabis needs in Lansing, Detroit, Muskegon, and Mount Pleasant. Whether you're cheering for the Lions, Spartans, or the Wolverines, Pure Options has everything you need to elevate your game day experience. Mention Couch the Rube when you visit Pure Options and get a Pro Grow 8th with a $50 purchase. It's our way of saying thank you for being a loyal listener. Swing by Pure Options today and elevate your cannabis experience to a whole new level. Firekeeper's Online Casino and Sportsbook is the site to play from your phone, tablet, or laptop. Get in on all the football action with pre- and in-game wagering. There's showdowns every week in football that you can't miss. Plus, the college and pro hoops are red hot, and the pucks are cool. Get your first casino deposit and sports wager matched up to $500 each. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and located in Michigan. Gambling problem? Call the Michigan Problem Gambling Helpline at 1-800-270-7117. Where else can you cheer on your team? Enjoy a mouth-watering burger or savory sushi. Sip on handcrafted cocktails or one of 46 beers on tap. Take your game day or date night to Cask & Company Kitchen Bar or Front 43 Neighborhood Pub near Frandor. 2 amazing places with 1 awesome blended modern American Asian menu. Catch the game on one of 30 60-inch TVs or stop in for the all-you-can-eat lunch buffet. Enjoy happy hour or elevate your night out at Cask & Company or Front 43 on East Saginaw in Lansing. Ever wonder how comfortable you can be and how good you can look? Put on a Muskox flannel and find out. Muskox has new arrivals for this fall, including the Caper Green Grand Flannel, which even makes couch look good. Muskox is a Detroit-based flannel company that creates soft and durable flannels made to last a lifetime. They become a great partner with Couch in the Rube, not just because they make us look good and feel good, but because they're good people too, and a socially conscious company. For every $100 purchase, $10 is donated to the Alaska Wildlife Conservation. Muskox flannels are designed with 100% cotton that is ethically sourced and double brushed for softness. Feel the quality and comfort of a Muskox flannel by ordering at GoMuskox.com, where Couch in the Rube listeners can enjoy $15 off their flannel purchase with the promo code HOFF. Come enjoy irresistible, award-winning, handcrafted donuts and locally roasted coffee at Groovy Donuts. Surprise your family or coworkers with special holiday designs and flavors, or put the perfect finishing touch on an event with a custom order. Birthdays, weddings, gender reveals, our friends at Groovy Donuts are your answer. Experience the Groovy Donuts difference for yourself on Lake Lansing Road in East Lansing or in Williamston. Get more information or place an order at groovydonuts.com.
Find Couch in the Rube podcasts on Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Google Podcasts, CastBox, and the Rube's favorite podcast addict.
I was actually the Rube last night, by the way.
Yeah, I saw that. I was wondering what happened last night.
Yeah, so I got in. I got the password to our new Twitter account, Couch and the Rube, at Couch and the Rube on Twitter, and went in and thought it would be cool to make our birth date the date of the show. But apparently you have to be 13 years old to be on Twitter. And so Twitter came down, and props to Twitter and their underage security here. They slammed me, locked me out. They were blocking people who were trying to follow us for a little while.
Good way to start.
It's a great
Twitter
opener.
show.
Yeah.
The new show. But I mean, like, what is it? You put the date of the new show, right? It's negative 1 day old. Like, I mean,
Well,
can you just use a little discretion? Go, oh yeah, that's probably they didn't mean to do that,
Right, and that didn't work. So I put yesterday's date, so it was like 0 days old, and they kicked us out. And I had to get a hold of Doug Warren and Jeff Heward here at the station, and I think they had to submit like passports and ID and all sorts of things and go before a panel at Twitter.
I was wondering what happened last night because I tried to log in and it said you have to be over 13. I'm like, oh. Whenever I see that, I shut my phone off. I don't know what happened when I did the night before. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, okay, never mind, forget it. So I'm glad it was your fault, not mine.
Yeah, you figure it's you. I like it.
I always figure it's me. You never know. I'm like, I went back and looked at the feed. I'm like, I was just tweeting out, about the show, today, and I'm like, I don't think I tweeted out anything. Didn't really drink much last night. I had 2 beers. So, it's not that. So, yeah, well, good for Twitter. Blocking everybody out.
If you're listening right now, first of all, we want to say thank you.
Yeah.
If you're listening to show one, you are what we would call an original. We will find a way to incorporate you. In fact, if you are actually doing that, tweet at us right now. We'd love to know, or don't. But just know we appreciate you. And if you're still listening tomorrow for show 2, it'll be a small miracle.
Mm-hmm.
Those are good times.
That was such a lie. There's no way I had only 2 beers. No shot of that being real.
Couch in the Roo, presented by our friends at Pure Options Craft Cannabis with terrific new February specials at pureoptions.com, and our Monday afternoon show presented by our friends at Muskox Quality Flannels. Enjoy the comfort and quality of a Muskox flannel. They are durable. They're just, I'm telling you, you don't get too hot when you walk into some place. They keep you warm. When you get to a 40-degree day, and I got a Muskox flannel, don't need a coat. And I'm telling you, they are that sort of quality. Go to gomuskox.com, and Fix It in Post is the promo code for Couch of the Rube listeners for $15 off their flannel purchase. Do you remember that first show?
No. I don't remember 5 shows ago. I mean, people say that, oh, yeah, you said this and that. I'm like, oh, right.
Weird.
So how the fuck would I remember the first show?
Young, spry 38-year-olds, our whole lives in front of us.
Yeah, drinking 2 beers. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
April will be 5 years, no booze.
It's impressive, man.
I know.
It's impressive.
Man. It's been great.
Congratulations.
Life changer. Peasy up next. Woke up Sunday morning to 3 different texts saying I'd wake up to crazy news. WTF was Dallas thinking? And bonus, Jason going, the Mel Tucker story on the last show had me laughing and clapping like a seal.
Yeah, it's the come from away. It's well done.
Thanks, Peasy.
It's well done. I mean, from a guy who actually had not heard from Come From Away. Look, it's very rare that you're that surprised by news that you don't think it's real. And that's we're in this world now where people can get hacked or they have fake accounts.
They say they are. When you tweet out something stupid when you had one too many or something.
I mean, I've been hacked, at least 75 times on my Twitter account.
Oh, yeah.
Anytime you've seen a stupid tweet from me, chances are
heck yes.
Yeah.
Heckity heck yes.
Yeah, that wasn't me.
And by the way, did your friends just say you'd wake up to crazy news, or did they tell you the news? Because that's kind of a weird thing. Like, oh, dude, wait till you're going to wake up to some crazy shit. It's kind of a weird way to do it, right?
I love the NBA. I don't know. I love this part of the NBA. Like, I don't watch a ton of NBA
What other
basketball.
part of the NBA could you like?
Well, the actual games. Well, I like some of the games, but I like the circus of the NBA. I always have. Yeah.
Fart soup. I'd rather celebrate the milestone with a Twitter question show. I suck at hot takes. Here, let me try one. The Luka Doncic trade came about because Mark Cuban was hanging out with Jason over the weekend, hammering Pure Options and comparing mules. Jason then tried a Shark Tank-esque pitch on Marky Cubes for a device that keeps $40,000 safe under the driver's seat of any vehicle. That was the moment the MGs wore off on Cuban. He found himself in Ovid, Michigan, reevaluated his life, and sold Doncic.
Well, Cuban,
he doesn't own the team anymore.
That's the thing. Yeah, he's not really a part of this. I don't think he would have done this.
He's always said that there's no way I'm trading Luka Doncic, no matter what. He owns like 20% of the team still,
and he thought he was still going to have a voice, but I don't think he does. I don't think this is all.
He wouldn't even go on Dan Patrick when they asked him today because he's like, I just can't talk about it.
Yeah, no, this is not him.
That would be awesome to hang out with Cuban.
He would rather be in Ovid with comparing mules with Jason.
Yeah, the Lions reply guy, Luka being traded to the Lakers screams the Mavs fell on the sword for the greater good of the league. It reeks of desperation to get some attention. but there is no other explanation for trading a global star in their prime for an oft-injured 31-year-old center. The NBA is junk. And from Big John Hogg, tinfoil hat. The NBA ratings are so bad that Adam Silver forced the Luka trade to get more watches and clicks. Why is it always the Lakers getting the superstars? I bet Latz is happy. And bonus, Rory wins a major this year. Hope it's at Augusta. He put on a show down the stretch Sunday.
Go out there, play hard, stick your cleats so far up their asses that they've got to use the cleats to brush their teeth with.
Do you think that David Stern would have vetoed that trade, though?
No.
Right?
I don't think so. I don't think this one.
Is it because of Luka to L.A.?
Because I think there is a justification.
But he did veto the Paul trade.
He did. He did. I think there is the justification from the Mavericks is in the short term that they're better right now and that they have a better chance.
But if you're a Mavs fan,
it's awful. It's the worst.
Right? You made the NBA Finals last year.
It's the worst. I mean, I have memories as a Pistons fan, so I haven't cried that many times in my life. But I remember like when Allen Houston left the Pistons in '96. And, if you're an Orlando Magic fan, you lost Shaq. Like, that's what this must feel like. Like, how do you recover? How long does it take?
Hill? But he was injured. But.
It's so, yeah. I mean,
Allen Houston, Doncic, the same guy.
Yeah, well, it felt like it when I was 16.
Chuck Fish. Number 1, 1,000 shows is something to be proud of. 2, MSU will beat UCLA. And 3, oh, look, Illinois won a game.
Illinois is going to be all right in the end. I know the fan base can be rather prickly and annoying. But remember this. People are coming after Michigan State and their fans on Twitter are interacting because MSU is a threat. It's only when you're at the top. It's only when the people want to bring you down. Michigan State hasn't been relevant for 4 years, so people have just sort of left them alone. Now they're going to poke at, the schedule and all this sort of stuff, and it's up to Michigan State to prove that's wrong. And they got a game at Illinois. They got plenty of tough games in February. And if Michigan State wins a Big Ten title, it shuts everybody up. If Michigan State wins a Big Ten title outright or a share of it, everybody has to sit down and shut the fuck up.
Whoa.
That's it.
What?
Yep.
Wait a minute. We're dropping MFers?
We're dropping MFers now?
Professor next. MSU's 3-guard lineup's weakness is size. MSU's front court weakness is speed and athleticism, and USC had both. Bonus, neither the Mavs nor the Lakers will win the title with their new stars.
You got maybe a decade with Luka. It's a good question. I would love to have Luka over just about anybody in the NBA.
I think the Lakers are just going to stand put, though? Have Luka and just a bunch of other.
Probably Jokic probably wind up there next. I mean, it's
great. What a league.
Man.
Thanks, Silver.
Yeah.
Jebediah, in honor of show 1000, let me unleash this corker. The question format works better for this show because Jason will read all the takes in a row and Graham will maybe answer one, while each question by someone is answered individually. Love you guys. Here's to 1,000 more. You were supposed to take that one out. Don't tell people our secret. How we do this show.
Well, that's true. I didn't ask, like Professor before, had this one on MSU's size and the weaknesses, and that's one of the reasons, by the way, to Professor's point on MSU's front court weaknesses, speed and athleticism, is why you see a guy like Booker have his best games against certain teams, because he does match that in certain ways. No question. The question shows are also easier to put together because I can combine questions. The Twitter question shows, the Groovy Donut Twitter question shows are some of my favorite shows. The Hot Take show I like most times. We've not found a better way of integrating our audience and doing a show. But there's no question. I love the Twitter question show.
Treese next. Congrats on 1,000, and they said it wasn't going to last. That's what she said after the Sims episode.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Sorry, I ruined your joke. Shredded lettuce on burgers is ridiculous, and TGL is great for the casual fan. Easy to commit to 2 hours with one or more player interactions and fun to watch. And last one, Dateline is 70% preview or recap and 30% new info. Trim it down.
TGL is the golf league, right?
It is the Tiger Woods,
Tiger Woods golf
Rory golf league that we have on when it's on, whenever football hasn't been on, and it's been fun to kind of tune in and watch those guys. And she's right about Dateline because, of course, my wife and I watch a bunch of the true crime stuff, and if it's a 2-hour Dateline, it's guaranteed you can honestly jump in an hour in because they just constantly do the reviewing and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's like you can just tell, like, very rarely is a 2-hour episode of any of them any good. You can't fill 2 hours. They're just doing it for commercial breaks.
Therese has been the backbone of the show, let's be honest, too. Without Therese, we're
Very
not.
much so. Teacups.org.
Yeah, and her forgiveness after the Alex Sims episode still ranks is very high on my great.
I had to propose. Get out of that shit. Holy crap. MZA, Graham dancing around the political questions was the best part of the show. And bonus, Izzo's insistence on not playing Jace down the stretch is why they lost the game on Saturday. Congrats on 1,000.
I didn't know Jace was dinged up, and they may have to start playing him more down the stretch. Because look,
well, how banged up is he? Does he need to rest and get better?
It's a great question. I don't know.
100%.
It's one of those things where they didn't really disclose, and I'm not out there, and I feel a little bit bad about that in these sort of situations. But
call Izzo right now. Tell him it's off the air.
I do think that that's a call you can make once if you lie to him on that. But and he'd probably just tell you what it was because his strength is not.
It's that damn Liz Frank again.
Yeah.
Bitch won't leave us alone.
Jace is their best offensive player in a lot of ways in terms of efficiency and other things, and so I do think more often than not, late in this season, you're going to see him in the game down the stretch.
Gorjo next. A year ago, MSU loses that game Saturday by 25 points. It's a very good sign that this team clawed back and played to the final whistle. Way too much angst online for a team that is 9-1 in Big Ten play. In November, I'd have sold my left tit for that kind of start. All right. Bonus, a consistent theme since I've been listening is Graham's inability to tell a story in any kind of succinct or meaningful way. Yet here he is, a true professional columnist, and we're lucky to have him. Perhaps Whitman had you in mind when he said, I am large. I contain multitudes.
This is the Muskox take of the day, I think. Yeah, this is so good.
Multitudes?
No, it's just there's a lot of there's a lot. He leaves the take with me feeling good about myself, and yet sort of insults me, which is impressive. And there's a lot of intellect in it, and a good. This is really well done. This is really well done, and he's not lying. It's truthful. It's solid. It's everything a Muskox flannel is. Left me feeling comfortable and tingly inside. Actually, that's not really what Muskox. Yeah, I'm sorry. We'll fix that in post. But for the Muskox tweet of the day, Muskox will donate another $5 to the Alaska Wildlife Conservancy, as they do with every purchase of a Muskox flannel. Go to gomuskox.com. Again, the promo code FIXIT in post, and you can enjoy the comfort and quality of a Muskox flannel. They're great partners with our environment and with this show. And if you want to support us, the best thing you can always do is support our sponsors and the great people and quality of who put together Muskox flannels are tops among that list. To the point, though, it is amazing the show still exists in my complete inability to tell a story in any succinct or meaningful way.
I tell you what, you're hitting on a better percentage though nowadays. They're good stuff.
That's kind.
Except today with the Tupac's attorney that you made him a video game character or some shit.
Yeah.
It just kind of died. It just sat there at the end. Sorry. Ken Chu, life is 1,000 times better with Couch in the Rube. Congrats, guys.
Appreciate you, Ken. Ken's been with us a long, long time.
OG. Original gangster. Nestle's Quick Hotel. Congrats on hitting 1,000 episodes. I've so enjoyed all roughly 300 I've listened to. And Baked, the best episodes come out in mid-July. Also, the loss to USC was not shocking at all. And is it me, or does the visiting team from the other coast always lose these games?
Well, USC and UCLA have gone through some stretches where they haven't played well at home. And like Michigan went out there and had success. And so it's not always. But I do think it'll be very interesting to see when the first team out there, because I think UCLA will be a good program, and I think USC is going to be pretty good. In Oregon, like when's the first time one of these teams wins the Big Ten, making all these trips east? I don't. That's going to be tough. It's a real ask of all of this. And to your first part, the best episodes come out in July. There's something I enjoy about the July episodes. There is an eclectic nature to them. Like when we do questions and takes, the stuff comes from all angles. We don't get too focused on one subject.
The desperation that gets you.
Maybe it's that
of us needing content.
Yeah, that too.
Talking about Pete Rose. Coach Z next. College sports, pomp and glory of rivalries and tradition. It's all gone. It's only about money now. The players care about winning, but if your team is not elite, it is really boring. It would be better if schools are like the Lugnuts, affiliated with pro teams that run and pay for the whole deal.
Yeah, the problem is you just need the schools to remain affiliated with the schools at some level. It's the connection that makes this all work. The connection to alums to without that, I'm telling you, it just doesn't work. So how that would ever look, I don't know. If like the NFL was affiliated, if the Chiefs had Michigan State and 5 other college or 3 other college teams or whatever it was, I don't that's I just don't. It would be interesting if that was the way it worked. I just don't see that ever happening.
Mr. Neurotic Pants next. Number 1, there is no transitive property, but if MSU can get as dialed in as it was later in the USC game, then there will be a lot less to fear in the second part of the season. Actually, no pun intended. 2, for the atmosphere of college sports to be lit, it requires either obnoxious, loud students or drunken nostalgic, and also obnoxious alumni. I finally enjoyed my time at the Schottenstein Center because Ohio State was giving away nice sweatshirts to the students. Even so, for the 3rd time in a row, I saw MSU lose, which I'm beginning to take personally. And 3, Jason needs to tell the deja vu story of the stripper who started crying during the lap dance.
I think there are a lot of people who haven't heard that story.
I don't think I have either because I don't.
She didn't start crying.
I have never had no. I have never had a stripper cry. The only person that cried was my cousin Ryan when we were at the strip club. That was when my father, when he got a divorce from my sister's mother, who was my former stepmom. So my dad was ossified, hammered, and we were at Omar's. And my cousin Ryan, who showed up with his girlfriend, he would drink like 3 beers and get that like sentimental kind of shit going on. And you were just like, oh boy. So my dad was in the middle of a divorce, not eating, and he was just absolutely hammered. So my cousin Ryan was trying to talk to my dad, and my dad was so lit, he was just like, whatever the fuck's he talking about? So my cousin took offense to that. So I'm talking to my dad, I'm trying to get him like together, and I look over and my cousin Ryan is like bawling his eyes out, and his girlfriend's like sitting there like comfort. I go, dude, are you fucking crying at Omar's? Like, what is? Bawling, dude, tears like streaming down his face. I'm like, what is happening? So that was the only time I saw like tears coming down at a strip club. I would tell you if a stripper was crying. I could understand.
Yeah, you were banned from a strip club for a while, but that's a separate story.
I was banned from Deja Vu for a while, but that's because I ran out on a tab.
Right. By the way, we got to show one. This is the beauty of you. Show 1000. We heard that story for the first time.
I don't think so.
There's no crying at Omar's. Yeah, that is.
I think I told it.
You have not told that. In 1,000 shows, we have never heard there's no crying at Omar's, and you delivered. And
you cry if you want to. I just could not believe that my cousin, after a couple beers, I was like, Jesus H, man.
Yeah.
By the way, my father, the conversation he was having with the stripper, the look on the stripper's face, who knows what my dad was trying to get out? Like, he was just ossified drunk. And it was just like, the stripper's face was like, what is going on? So I was bookended by these 2 tards, and I was just like, get me out of here.
An actual story worth telling, presented by our friends at Midtown Brewing Company, which isn't that far from Omar's. You can do them both in the same night. Start yourself out with a nice meal at Midtown Brewing Company and work your way around Washington Avenue, up Michigan Avenue to Omar's if you'd like, or do anything else you'd like as well.
Have another meal.
Yeah, or just hang out.
They serve food there, I think. Still.
Oh, you talk about Omar's?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was my 21st birthday. It was celebrated there. Had lunch. My dad got us a limo, fucking 1987 Cadillac limo that broke down on the hill over there in the parking lot, and we had lunch during the daylight at Omar's. My 21st birthday.
When you walk into Omar's during the day, it is a sad group in there. Now, and I've only done this, by the way. I should let people. It's not that I've done it often. When I was 30, and I've never been to Omar's.
This was last year. He's lying.
Since I moved back to Lansing, I was 30. I was living in Kalamazoo, where I used to live.
Support local, man.
And I was here, and I was the best man in a wedding. My friend Marcus was getting married, and so I is the best man. You're setting up things with managers at different bars and places ahead of time, right? You're gonna have a group coming by in a limo. Let them know they're coming. And so Omar's was one of the places I went into at 2:00 on a Wednesday or something like that, and the crew in there at 2:00 on a Wednesday. Man, I feel bad for the strippers that are working those. It's just like, that's rough. That's rough.
It's a tough crew.
Yeah.
You get a lot of bang for your buck, no pun intended, though, at that hour. Scott, you next. Number 1, the MSU team is bringing treated by all MSU team is bringing being treated by all opponents like they are one of the 2000 to 2020 teams. MSU basketball is back and will be every team's Super Bowl the rest of the season. The boys need to be ready for that every night. MSU is no longer viewed as the program of the last 4 years. And 2, who starts for MSU doesn't matter in every game, but it does and will matter in 2 to 3 games each season when you go down big early and don't have a great shooting day.
Yeah, it can't become a thing, because if it's a reason you're losing games, then you have to do something about it. And so that's something to keep an eye on. I do think Scott's right in the sense that MSU is, you start 9-0, people look at you like, and especially when you start 9-0 and people are doubting your schedule, people want to take a crack at you. And MSU already has a brand. So for some of these schools like USC and UCLA, they played a fair number of times over the years, and UCLA has a pretty good brand. But for a lot of these schools, Michigan State has always been a little bit of an event when they showed up, and now even more so.
Captain Sparty next. MSU loss showed Zapala is the Spartans' most important player.
I don't think that's true. Now, obviously, he got dinged up and didn't play much, and he's an important player. And we saw the way he set the tone in the previous home game. I thought it was he was a matchup problem. But I think he's a very important player. I think he was a very important acquisition. Some of it addition and by subtraction as well. But I would, if you had the most important players, like players that they could not lose, I would not put Zapala in the top. I probably wouldn't even put. I'd probably put. I don't know. He wouldn't be in the top 3 or 4.
All right. Tyler next. Felt like there were about 30 situations where USC was ready to hand the game back to MSU, and I was pretty shocked. MSU squandered nearly all of them. Bonus. Jason, please give us your 3 eye-roll things about your beloved Graham. Some examples. Tea leaves. My wife can't hear about this or that. And I could see that one going one way or the other. I don't know. It could go either way. But that's a Stout tribute, so that isn't.
Yeah.
Definitely the way that he and his wife celebrate Christmas. It annoys me to no end.
With no gifts, you mean?
Yeah, you guys just, it's just like there's no real like attachment or putting up like lights or anything.
We had a wreath. We had a wreath. And we put decorations up on the mantle, candles. And
stuff. I'm not a big fan of it. Okay. Obviously, bumpity bump in the way he tweets from the Couch and Rube account sometimes.
Yeah.
His TV setup.
Yeah,
is really I think it's more of an issue with his wife than it is him. I know he's just doing what she tells him, but it's just like, come on, let the guy have 2 TVs. It's ridiculous. I mean, he's got Wolf Blitzer's friggin' monitor for one of them, and the other one is like some fucking $20 TV. It's like, holy shit. Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay, now the only callers next. MSU basketball success this year is at least partly due to Izzo's feeling better and more revitalized due to the hip surgery.
It's interesting. I mean, I don't know if that's true or not, but he did say he wished he'd done it a lot sooner, that he feels better than he has in years.
So it is true.
Well, but I don't know if the team is playing better, if he could have suffered through it. But sure, yeah, I think it's changed his enjoyment of it. And probably, if he feels better than he has in a long time physically, then the odds he's going to keep doing this for a little while is pretty good.
C-Dubs, 91, reasonable. College hoops teams should have to disclose if a player was injured or sick in practices leading up to games. Had I known Jace Richardson was hurt all week, that might have altered my betting. Hashtag gambling related. Baked. MSU and MSU should have become protected rivals in every sport, and someone, maybe teacups.org, should make a statue of Helen Trophy that the winner every year gets to claim. And congrats on not breaking up the band for 1,000 shows. Tremendous feat.
Nobody else wants us, so we figure, we just stay together.
That's we just kind of show up and go, all right, man, I guess I'll see you Monday. All right. What about a show Wednesday? Does that work? We just keep doing it? It's amazing.
Yeah. No, it is true that, I didn't know anything about the Jace Richardson thing, and maybe that would impact. And it feels like that's supposed to be on the injury report, and I don't think it was, so that's maybe it was.
Garbage.
Yeah. So, yeah.
It should be.
That's the point of the injury reports, right? Yeah.
Shabadoots next. Jackson Kohler needs more minutes. The great start he had is being choked by lack of playing time. Booker is coming along, but there are too many minutes he's watching and not a factor. He's improving, but he still needs to develop physically for Big Ten play. Less Book, more Kohler equals more winning.
I don't know if that's – I think they've done it pretty well for the most part. They need Kohler to keep playing well and rebounding well. He had 8 rebounds the other day. He's struggling offensively again. I I think some of that's matchup dependent with them. I don't think Les Kohler is the answer, certainly. I think he's an important part of this physically in terms of tone setting and all that. And back to C-Dubs with the gambling thing, I do think if somebody's not on the injury report, you don't get to use them as an excuse then. So you don't get to bring it up, well, he was beat up in practice, he was ill. He's not on an injury report. He's 100%. You know what I mean? Like if you're a coach, there's zero. That
doesn't help us gamblers, but yeah.
Yeah, but I'm saying after the game, you get zero sympathy if a player's not on an injury report.
Hopeless Fanatic, congrats on 1,000, guys. This easily stacks up with the greatest milestones in sporting history. Cal Ripken's Ironman record, Gretzky's goal total, LeBron's 40,000 point total, and Brady's 7 rings are probably the tops for me in their sports. What are some of your picks? There's a ton of Nolan Ryan stats that are wild.
Yeah, things that'll never be. Yeah, never be.
I can't believe he never won a Cy Young. It's fucking insanity. How did Nolan Ryan never win a Cy Young? Or did I make that up? Is that true? Yeah.
Did he never win a Cy Young?
I don't think he did.
Yeah, that's pretty. Well, the end of his career is still throwing like 99 at 46 miles or at 46 years old. I mean, that was. Yeah, I'm trying to think. The thing that stuff that'll never be broken.
Tony Gwynn, the stats that he had. I mean, some of his hitting stuff is insanity.
You know, the Brady felt bigger to me, and now I feel like Mahomes might catch him. Like that's how.
Yeah, but Mahomes hasn't yet.
Yeah,
so
right.
Still Brady's still the greatest ever. I can see Mahomes overtaking that.
I think
if you wanted to ask though, Mahomes or Brady to win a game to save your life, I think I might go Mahomes though.
Yeah, I would too.
I gotta say.
To me, in major sports, Gretzky's is like that's always been one that I thought that's just never going to be even.
But I never was super really. I mean, I still love hockey, but I've never been super diehard about it. It just seemed like Gretzky was always doing that stuff, right? It wasn't as crazy as like Cal Ripken never missing a game, except until Kevin Costner banged his wife and he had to miss a game. They had to turn the lights off. Remember that?
I do.
Yeah,
story worth telling. Yeah.
Mr. Benjen, you two are the best thing that's happened to me.
We just read this one.
Yeah, no, I didn't.
No, we didn't. Sorry.
Mr. Benjen, don't do that. You two are the best thing that's happened to me this decade. Okay, maybe not number 1, but solid top, 25? That means you're ranked. Congratulations on not quite 1,000. And I'm on hashtag Team Nick about airplanes. Talk to me, and I'll take your armrest and put my elbow in your side. I'm not that serious. I usually just try not to bother anybody.
Do you not talk to people ever on airplanes?
No, I mean, like Teresa and I, like she puts her, like if we travel together, she puts her earbuds in and I put mine, like we watch something or she'll watch a movie, but I don't know.
To me, I
sit down and I pee before I sit in my seat and then try not to get up.
I usually have to pee on the plane.
Me as well. If it's over 4 hours, it's impossible for me not to, but I try to wait and be.
That's why I sit on the aisle.
Yeah.
But yeah, I try and read the vibe. Like if somebody doesn't seem like they want to be talked to, I don't talk to them. But if they want me to hold their child and rock them to sleep, then I'm going to damn well do it.
Scotty Green's El Camino. Number 1, if Big Ten Plus's ass, Peacock is super infected ass. Jesus, that's gross. 2, can you imagine trying to explain to Graham to somebody who doesn't listen to the show? Kills gay guys, gets a boner for Hallmark movie bingo, bores you with soccer talk. Hates Dabo, thanking God, thinks dogs are so yesterday, and likes cuddling random babies. Jesus, Couch.
When you put it like that,
you left out one though. Is it coaching a 6-year-old soccer team when you don't have any children whatsoever? Just showing up with Adidas sweatpants on and just coaching kids that don't ask for it.
Starting to worry about my obituary. It's
Aiden's child. How about the 1,000th bad take? MSU is overrated, and Izzo is washed and should be fired.
That is a bad take that we've had 1,000 times at certain points.
Yeah.
My wife just texted, "Are you guys doing 1,000 minutes for the 1,000th episode?" Because
was she got a timer going?
No, but I'm picking her up something on the way home from Target, and I was
oh, dude, you better get out of here.
No, I'm here for the long haul. We'll be fine. It's
tapping her fingers for that Target order. Jesus. Original Dark Mantonio, could you please answer 2 questions I couldn't get in Friday, of course. Number 1, are you staying in L.A. for the whole 4 or 5 days?
Yes.
And 2, from afar, let's assume we don't know the outcome of Saturday's game. MSU avoided the annual January 3-game skid. Will they avoid it all year?
You're right. They usually do have that 3-game thing, or they have in the even at the late 2010s. They often had it. Where it either prevented them from winning a Big Ten title or things looked like they were a little a little rocky. If you didn't know, if you weren't listening earlier, I'm not in L.A. For these games, but give me 1 second. I want to pull something up on the. All right. Yeah, I think MSU's going to avoid it because even if they lose to UCLA, I think they beat Oregon at home Saturday. And, say they lose to Illinois, then the chance for it to happen would be the best chance for it to happen is at Illinois on February 15th, home to Purdue February 18th, and then that Friday at Michigan. And then you're at Maryland. So you could see a stretch in there. Those 4 games back to back to back. I think they'll beat Wisconsin at home. Wisconsin's decent. I mean, it's a brutal stretch. But those 4 games, you could find a way to see 3 losses between Illinois, at Illinois, home to Purdue, at Michigan, at Maryland. I do think they don't drop 3 in a row. I think this team is going to avoid that. But that's where it would happen in that stretch.
Suburban Man of Leisure next. Take that no one but me cares about. While MSU softball may get mercied their first 3 games, Hannah Hawley will be first team all-conference. And bonus take no one cares about, the team will finish over 500.
Well, it's good to know. And I would love MSU softball to be relevant and decent. I hate that their home schedule ends before it get one decent day of good weather. It's done before April, right? I mean, what the hell is that? It's crap. But
Couch talks soccer all the time. No one cares about that. So
talk
away.
Suburban. I would love. I
like your takes.
I
Couch
like
wants
that.
to leave them off, but I keep them in.
I like their coach. I hope she gets it going. So yeah.
MCV hot take. It's impossible to live in Michigan and not develop road rage. Baked coffee and tea should never be drank out of a straw. And bonus, cats are dicks. I do like cats, but
I like the cat that we adopt or we
stole.
We didn't steal. Although we haven't seen her in 3 days, we're a little worried.
Oh, because the cat's at its home.
Yeah, I don't think she's ever been away for 3 days before, and we're a little concerned about concerned about.
You're gonna call animal control?
Don't do that because we'll get in trouble.
Oh, yeah, you don't want to do that. Skylar Verdon was at the Red Wings Calgary Flames game this past weekend. Was a little awkward for reasons you may or may not want to get into. Good time overall, though.
Yeah, the Canadians are not happy right now.
Was Justin Tucker getting a massage? Intermission? What do you mean? What was it awkward for?
The Canadians are not happy with the tariffs. So they're not happy with the U.S. So
right, let's do 3 segments. Let's go. Let's go
booed.
fucking tariffs, Couch.
They're getting booed at games. Yeah,
tariffs for everyone. Matt C. Sunny L.A. is a trap for all Midwestern Big Ten hoops teams in February. Keep them in winter weather to maintain their edge. That was brutal on Saturday. And bonus, let me produce the show real quick in honor of your 1000th episode.
Uh-oh.
Dear listeners, we don't want your libtard and right-wing nut job hot takes on this show. This is a safe place for sports and entertainment. Sincerely, Couch in the Room Management.
Matt C. right down the center. Yeah, right down the center.
These gift cards are flying off the shelves. Anyway, no comment. Jay Riemenschneider. Nowadays, the losing political side's only reaction is to wonder how we win next time. The winning side gloats and says, told you so. Politics isn't sports. Winners shouldn't reach out to the other side. Losers should take that olive branch and both work together to make America strong.
In a perfect world, this would be how it is. It's just not. It's what's that line from The Wire? You want things to be one way. The thing is, they're the other way, or whatever it is. I mean, it sucks. And
classic quote.
Yeah.
HW Couch assuming Jason was a Trumpster just because he has the very crazy concept that the president not being able to string together a coherent sentence is why liberals are losing the average independent voter. You talk down to people with a holier-than-thou vibe, both sides are ass. Hold on. This is unbelievable. I feel like Oprah Winfrey. Is Brad Hoos okay with us giving out 90 gift cards on our 1000th? Anyway, both sides are ass. Ryan Rockwell, pretty easy to figure out who's Jeremy Fear's shooter was. It was definitely an accident with a friend and family member or himself, even given no charges or real investigation. Blink twice if I'm right, Graham.
There's no blinking going on here. No blinking.
I saw it too.
Topic that I should not have brought up. No blinking. No blinking. All
right.
I don't think that's it.
Jason, is this myself? Did I send this in? Congratulations on the 1000th episode. Good luck on 1,000 more.
You were just hoping that in case we didn't get any of these congratulations, you wanted one to be in here.
I was nervous. Not one person saying
it. It's sort of like the live shows. You're just nervous.
I wouldn't change my name or anything like that. Rich Kane next. Graham holding random babies at live events sounds like a money-making opportunity. Kind of like how touring porn stars charge for selfies with fans. What? Become an entrepreneur. Are those two things alike? All right. Yeah. Bonus in honor of episode 1000. Here are 1,000 of my hottest takes. Number 1. Just kidding. Congratulations, and here is to 1,000 more.
Boy, what are the odds? What are the odds we get to 1,000 more of these?
Oh God, we might have to just start doing more shows, though.
What do you mean?
More
doing
often? Like 3 a week.
Yeah, we'd have to do 7 a week to get there. You're saying?
I don't know. It just doesn't sound like it's something you want to look forward to. 1,000 more. Like, Jesus
well, here's
Christ.
the thing. Yeah, the problem is we did for almost 2 years. We did 5 a week.
Yeah.
So like to get
that we always complain about whenever it's brought up.
So you're looking at like
talking sports.
You're looking at close to like 10 years to get to another 1,000. It's I don't even want to think about it.
I don't mind.
But we'll be here. We'll be here on Wednesday. That's all I got.
Yeah. Hans Jurgen, 3 non-MSU takes because I'm sure you need a break. Number 1, Graham, thanks for the Wolves and Crystal Palace tips.
You're welcome.
2, there should be no offsides on free kicks and corners. And 3, icing in hockey should be called on the teams trying to kill a penalty. And bonus, there are too many timeouts in basketball. There's only 1 timeout in hockey and none in soccer. Pay attention, basketball.
I do wish, given their media timeouts, it feels like, and I think this is part of the reason they haven't gotten to quarters in the men's basketball is because it does take away one of the media, like the timeouts are different. So if you go to, right now they have a timeout, it's 16, 12, 8, 4 under those for media timeouts. If you go to 10-minute quarters, you have 1 each quarter plus the, and so you have to, but you can get creative, just have longer inventory at a certain point or whatever, figure it out. But like that would be the one of the advantages of going to quarters is you'd have 1 less media timeout and a half, which I would absolutely be for.
And Jake Hawkins next. Man, that loss really sucked Saturday. Couldn't even buy a defensive stop once we cut the lead with within 3 points. It really showed the disadvantage of having small guards. Better win Tuesday, especially when Mick Cronin said a few weeks ago he's had the most energy in practice. Oh, that's right, Cronin. Fuck. Bonus takes. Congratulations on making it to 1,000 shows. But damn it for being on a Monday where we all couldn't get together for a live location show. Here's to 1,000 more shows. And word to MSU students for women's basketball home games. Become the special section, Robin's Nest.
We're all about Robin's Nest. I think
do
that's
this
a great
for
idea.
Hawk.
Yes, Robin's Nest. I will.
Dude, what if Hawk
this.
starts it though? He should get a sign going or something.
Jake just starts showing up. Yeah, with the Robin's Nest. Yeah. You could.
People start joining in that way.
And where that section sits, the unnamed student section sits like near the bench, but in that lower area where the zone is, but just sort of on the baseline. Like you could, there's space. They're like it's not packed like it is in a men's game. You could easily get down there and begin that with them. Like Jake, I'm telling you, this is within your power.
It's up to you, Hawk. Upper Deck Jerk Guy finally here. This show probably shouldn't have lasted 1,000 episodes.
Thank you.
That's true. And bonus, there is a possibility that we inherit exact kinks from our parents that we never find out, and it's too awkward to talk about.
We don't want to know about that stuff from our parents. We don't want to know about their things, their kinks. No. No. That's a no. That's a no. I hope we don't inherit. Yeah. It's a good way to end episode 1000. As awkward as we began episode 1. We appreciate all of you sincerely. I mean, it's humbling.
I love you guys.
That so many people listen and have listened throughout these years. Whenever you've picked us up, it's very much appreciative. We don't understand you, but we appreciate you. And thanks for also producing our shows so many times, including this one. We appreciate Pure Options, craft cannabis. Go to pureoptions.com. Check out their February specials. You can go to the 3 in Lansing, 1 Mount Pleasant, Muskegon, Detroit. They're all over Michigan. And by supporting them, you're supporting us. Same with Muskox Flannels. We're not twisting your arm to say this. You'll enjoy the quality and comfort and how you look. Go to gomuskox.com. Fix It in Post is the promo code. Thanks to Midtown Brewing Company. We'll be back for 1001 on Wednesday. Good show, man.
Yeah, man.
Couch in the Room.